possibly immature content. Your discussion is strongly advised. As a matter of fact, I probably wouldn't listen at all. It's very poorly produced. Take me to your leader.
For the extreme paranormal listener. And here is your host, the Wolfman, Mike.
This is where the real freaks hang out, alright, yeah.
Welcome to the Monster Castle Paranormal Radio. And here is your host, the Wolfman, Mike.
How's it going, everybody? All right. Can you dig it? Fantastic. And, I have to get Igor to unlock my co-host tonight. He's got him down in the dungeon. Hang on a second. Igor, can you let the co-host Darren and and Jeff the Grey out of the dungeon, please. Yes, master. I'm sorry. Okay. Hang on 1 second. Get them out of this dungeon.
Where is he?
Yes. Okay.
Can't believe you left me in there.
All right, David.
Wolfman, what are you doing?
Sorry, man. All right, yeah.
I've been in there since this morning's show.
I forgot all about that, man. Igor said he was, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Jeff and I are just in there shooting the ball all day long.
I almost killed him.
We got,
I broke out the probe.
second here. Unknown number phoning us right now. Should I take it, guys?
Yeah.
So help me God.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Unknown
Where's
caller?
the-
Unknown caller, you're on the air.
Not an unknown caller.
Oh, I see. How could you have two unknown callers? All right. Is this Seika?
I got cut off.
Really?
Oh.
Let's see.
Good thing we took the call since it's our guest.
Well, there's two.
I was disconnected.
There's two numbers. It says two numbers in call. That's
well,
very strange.
One of them's not me because now I'm here.
Is there another caller?
Sorry.
Hello?
Don't the sorry.
I'm sorry.
It seems that we have a strange occurrence. Very strange occurrence going on here. What is going
Surprise.
on?
Oh, I didn't tell you that kind of stuff happens when people have me on shows.
This is weird.
It can happen.
It can happen.
And it only makes common sense.
Wow. Man.
Where's Adam?
I'm not sure.
He might be one of the other callers.
He might be. I tried to Adam.
Oh, that's just Igor. Does that feel better, Jeff? He just took those things from around your legs.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. You're
Thank you very much. That's really nice. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, sir. Okay. So, oh yeah, I gotta ask. Did anybody have any news today?
Well, it appears that the Antarctic,
hang on a sec.
the ice is actually shrinking.
Hang on a sec, Jeff.
No.
Here we go. And here's the news with Jeff the Grey.
All right. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration reports, the Antarctic sea ice extent averaged just 4 million square kilometers, which is 1 million square kilometers below the 1981 through 2010 average. So basically, that's smaller than it's ever been. And that's it. It's shrinking, man.
Wow.
What's happening?
It's smaller than it's ever been since the ancients were able to map that thing perfectly. On all those ancient maps that have the landmass just perfect. For that one, anyways. Wrong. Can you guys hear me?
Wrong.
Yep, we can hear you.
Ay, ay, ay.
You got no chains on today. We took them off.
Sit down.
You know,
Jeff,
that's
you got some funny noises there, Jeff. I love them.
I feel sorry for anyone that's in the room where he goes wrong.
Absolutely.
That's really annoying.
Fantastic.
We got Ophidian in the chat room. Says he's been waiting for all day for this. Thumbs up.
Wow.
He's the one.
Hey,
Oh, and we got the
All right.
Blaviator.
all day.
All day.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if
All
you guys
day.
realized I did a show at noon today, too, with Spooks. Yeah, it was
Ooh,
like
that
the...
was
That's when you put me in the stupid dungeon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I
I
forgot
had 3
all
hours
about
of
that.
sleep. I get a call. I was on that show. Do you remember Wolfman?
Yes, sir.
I had 3 hours of sleep. I get a call. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, we're going live in 5 minutes. I'm like, okay. He was pretty good though. Spooks he's a good guy.
Oh, yeah, it was groovy, man.
Bigger, better, and stronger.
We love Spooks.
Yeah, that was good.
It was groovy, man. Groovy.
I've been reeling ever since though. I'm getting goofy.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
That's the lack of sleep. I told you, just don't sleep. Stay up, keep staying up, and just keep on staying up, and eventually you'll start hallucinating and seeing things.
Well, I haven't seen anything yet, but I'm waiting. I hope it happens.
Oh, yeah.
You don't always have to have no sleep for that, though.
Works for me.
Maybe we should introduce the person that's talking.
All right. This is,
the other voice in the ether.
This is Seika
Yeah.
from Port Colborne Paranormal.
That's it. Port Colborne. That would be it.
And Ontario, like me. So,
Woohoo!
yeah.
Woo-hoo.
Interesting. And
But
also...
we don't say oot in the boot.
Oh, no, not quite. I just
Who
say,
says silly stuff like that anyway?
them Canadians,
I don't know.
Like back bacon
Eh?
and
Eh?
beers,
Take off,
we
eh?
got, who's getting the beers because I brought the back bacon, eh?
Are we starting to date ourselves here?
Okay, anyways,
Well,
I'm not the great.
You are a medium and a historian,
Yes.
and TV personality, as well as what else?
All around crazy person? No.
Yes, and
Crazy fun.
yeah, anything paranormal and strange, and an investigator.
Pretty much.
You're also an investigator.
I
That's
do.
right.
What
Yes,
are you a
that
historian
is
for?
what I do. I am a paranormal, I guess, investigator, if that's what you'd like to call it. And I am a medium, and I'm. many things.
That means you're like slightly bigger than a small.
Slightly bigger than a small, like a small, medium, at large, but I can't take that because I have a friend who uses that, and she's a medium, and she's actually small. So.
Congratulations.
Right. Seika, are you famous?
What's that?
Are you famous?
There was an echo. Am I famous? No, I'm not famous.
Yes.
I guess it depends on who you ask, but no.
Oh, I didn't know. I
There's
thought maybe you
lots
had your
of
own
people
show
who
and
know
stuff.
who I am, but then I kind of stay under the radar a lot, so,
Okay.
you know. I'm
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of television shows. I do a lot of consulting for TV shows, paranormal shows. I appear on them. I do consulting. I've been on Storage Wars Canada as an expert in the Victorian Macabre. I've done many television shows just in the capacity of an actor, not necessarily paranormal based, but I do a lot of blog talk radio. I do a lot of touring and talking and speaking about paranormal and mediumship and my experiences. And, I will go where people ask me for the most part.
And now you're in the Monster Castle.
And now I am because, hey, the Monster Castle is a cool place to be.
Yes, it is. Sometimes, if somebody calls you, then my master will let me electrocute them if they're bad to you. Igor,
Nice.
shut
Can
up.
I watch?
Go away, Igor. You stink. Okay, Wolfman.
She wants to watch. Yeah, you can watch.
Oh, that's groovy, man.
Hey, come on. I was one of those kids that loved Frankenstein. So
Well, there's a lot of I got a lot of guys in the castle that, creatures, and this is where all the freaks hang out, man.
And that's where the party is.
The Count is here. Yeah, how do you do? I am the Count. And Igor.
I found out
we
last
made
week.
Igor go down because he stinks. He smells like dead bodies, man.
Did you know that when Mary
hey,
Shelley
it's
wrote
right up in my
Frankenstein?
department since I have a degree in archaeology as well. So, hey.
Jeff the Grey has dissected many humans.
Yeah.
Many times.
How about aliens?
Not so much.
There's been a lot
Not
of
so much,
alien
huh?
baptisms.
Oh, yes. Actually, we have a resident priest who thinks he's a priest, and he calls himself Father Guido, and he likes to forcefully baptize aliens.
Is his last name Sarducci?
Stargucci.
Guido Sarducci.
little
Father
different.
Guido Sarducci.
It's his cousin.
Then there's something wrong
No.
with you. You're certainly not.
Where's the alien that you had this morning that was down in the dungeon?
No, that's Father Guido already took him outside, and he played that
Oh.
music. He played that music and made his head blow up.
I like that
I have
guy.
an
He had a
alien
lot
in
of
a jar.
knowledge.
Oh, no, that guy? Oh, no, I don't know. That guy just called in. That's Melvin Spacely.
Yeah, I really liked him.
Yeah, he'll be back. I got his email.
Okay, good.
There you
Sweet.
go. I have an alien in a jar in my oddity collection.
Oh, really?
You do?
Yeah.
Are you
Do tell. Is it real?
are you growing it?
Of course it's real. No, I'm not growing it. It's in solution.
It doesn't exist, folks.
What's it look like?
It looks like an alien. It's got
Whoa, I
little
want
black
pictures.
eyes, and he's
Pictures
kind of got a
too.
gold sheen to his skin.
Where'd you
He's
collect
kind
that
of cute,
sample
actually. He's
from?
a little shrivelly. He's in a, I don't know, but a 6-inch mason jar on my shelf in my
And
museum.
where did you collect that sample from?
I can't tell.
Is it real?
There's some things that I have in my oddities collection that I cannot divulge where they came from.
Oh, my Lord.
What is Victorian?
Fantastic and groovy,
Macabre.
baby. Oh, yeah.
What is Victorian macabre?
Yeah,
What
you said
does,
that earlier.
Victorian macabre is, well, what I cover in Victorian macabre. So if I'm doing public speaking or lectures or research or working for people, doing presentations, I do a mummy unrolling, mummy unwrapping performance. I do a lot of consultation for Victorian funerary practices, memento mori photos, women's weeds, old clothing, all of the odd and unique and strange things that went with death in the Victorian era. Because nowadays we're very far removed from death, but up until we had antibiotics and all of those fun, medical things, people lived with it every day. So I'm somewhat of an expert on death.
That's cool. And,
If you really want to get, if you really want to get down to the, the bones of it all.
how many times?
yes.
How many times have you died and come back?
Myself,
Yeah.
none, thankfully.
That you can
Have
remember.
you-
unless you believe in reincarnation, and I don't tend to go down that road, but I have other thoughts on that.
You don't believe in reincarnation?
No,
Really?
Oh, wow. So
Do you believe in an afterlife?
I believe that our energy moves out into the universe and remains there as part of the structure of the universe. Do we come back as somebody else? No, I don't think so.
Do we remain ourselves or just become stardust?
Well, here's something interesting. You guys are in the paranormal. You do investigations. Have you ever actually physically seen a manifestation of a ghost?
I've seen them in full daylight, in broad daylight, it looked real as you and me. A whole bunch of them.
So that there then answers your question,
Oh, yeah.
right? Because if we reincarnated, we would not be able to do that. We would not be able to come back. We would not be able to, and when I say come back, I'm talking as ourselves, because when I go into a location to do a mediumship session, I don't go in with the intention of, hey, what am I going to run into today? I go in very open-minded, and I walk in, and I feel the building first, because it's all about the building and initially, and then if there's somebody there who wants to speak to me, then they'll make themselves known. But I feel like, as I was saying off-air earlier, we all vibrate at different levels. And I feel that, like, my belief in the way that the energy or spirit or ghost, if you so want to go that route, comes back to make itself known is if indeed you are sort of vibrating on its frequency. It's like people, when you meet somebody, you either kind of hit it off with them right away because your energy is very similar, or you don't. And it's very much the same way even in the afterlife, quote unquote, that if we don't connect with them on that energy level, we will never know they're there. So as far as reincarnation, I know there's, certain beliefs that, go for that and believe that we will reincarnate over and over and over to attain, the highest version of ourselves, or whoever we may be in multiple lives. But from my experience, from dealing with the dead, I haven't come across somebody who I've come across before, if that makes any sense.
They're dead, right? I mean, it's before they come back. That's what I think, anyways. I don't know.
What do you mean by come back?
Reincarnation. Go ahead, Jeff.
Reincarnation. I think I've been here before.
I did too.
Okay, so, and that's funny because a lot of people feel that, but being, like I say, of the science mind, and Jeff, you should be able to appreciate this, they're now finding that we're carrying vivid memories of our ancestors in our DNA clusters.
Yeah, they have like young kids that
that's right.
Like three or 4 years old, and they have memories of things that they never experienced in that life.
Exactly. And I went through that myself, and I've gone through that numerous times in my life, and I had a very vivid dream, I will say, reoccurring dream as a child. And it would happen...
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about that? I
can't say how many times, because I don't remember, but as a, maybe 9, 10, 11-year-old child, and it went on for 10, 15 years until I figured out what it was. And it was an interesting story because I was essentially a full-grown adult in this vision dream that I had. And it was when I was sleeping, so I'm going to say it is a dream, but it was the same thing over and over. And I was in a large room, and it appeared to be on the maybe third or fourth floor of an old castle. Now, this sounds like everybody goes, "Oh, castle." Ugh. But the interesting thing was it wasn't like an old medieval castle.
Castles are great.
Probably. What's that?
I love castles.
I love castles too. That's why I'm here.
I really like my castle.
It was. I was in a room that was lavishly outfitted. It had a bed. It had all the amenities of, let's say, the early 17th century. I had people come to the room. I had people tell me that I needed to come with them and leave the room, and I cut off all my hair and I dressed as a man and I got into a boat and I went up a river and with these people, and I was caught and I was brought back. Well, here's an interesting story, and I didn't know this at the time, but much later in life I had a friend come to me and give me postcards. And she said, "You have to have these." And she handed them to me. And these postcards were 2 postcards from the Tower of London. She had gone to England. She brought them back with her. And what they were was Mary Queen of Scots death masks. Now, Mary Queen of Scots would be my 9th time great-grandmother on my grandfather's side of the family. The resemblance is frightening, shockingly very similar. And when I read her story, the story of Mary Queen of Scots, in her lifetime, that exact same episode had happened to her when she was trying to take the throne away from Elizabeth I. So I had no mental memory of this, I had no way of correlating this together until all of this stuff came down the pipe, so to speak, and many, many years later I had discovered. So how do you explain that? It's not that I lived her life, I wasn't her, but does that carry in the DNA? Right? So I have a lot of questions scientifically that way, and it's the same way when I approach my paranormal investigations. I rule out everything before I, look at things. But I always see, I'm approached differently.
What's the best evidence you ever came up with? What is your best evidence?
My best evidence? Oh my gosh, I have many, many instances where I go into locations, and I'll give you guys just a very quick one in a nutshell. Recently, I moved to Port Colborne here in October. I used to live in another city. Moved to Port Colborne. There was a paranormal investigation going on at one of our locations here called the Roselawn Center for the Arts. It's an old home built in the 1800s by a very prominent family. Now, at the time, I didn't really know too much of this, but it was a paranormal investigation going on by another paranormal group, and I thought I'd go and attend. So my husband and I went off and we attended, and I really mostly wanted to get inside this old building. That was kind of my my vision at the time. Now, the very first time I walked into the building, a woman had approached me, and when I say woman, she was a woman in spirit, not a woman in life, and she just presented herself, and then she backed away. And this was the day I went to get tickets to go to this event. So when I came back the night of the event, we walked in, sat down, and I usually stay away from everybody else in the room, and it's not that I'm being antisocial, it's just that I'm not getting caught up in the excitement of the, this is my first time running around with an EVP and, wanting to do an investigation, so I sort of hang back. So I sat at the back of the room, and the minute I got there, this spirit reappeared to me and gave me her name. And her name was Mary Schofield. I had no idea who she was. I'd never heard of her before, and I didn't say anything. I just sat. I went through. We got into the building, and the minute I hit the building, inside the building, it was like a giant flood where she had just essentially taken over me, and everything that I was being fed by her was coming through me directly. So it wasn't like she was standing in front of me and I was getting a vision. It was like she was in my head and she was talking through me. And I kept saying to my husband, I feel like I'm crazy. I feel like I'm manic, and I couldn't sit still, and I had to keep getting up, and I was pacing. And at a few points, I couldn't see properly. And then as the tour was going through the building, we were going up the stairs, and I was running my hand along the wall because I couldn't see. And, it was lit. We weren't walking around in the dark, per se. But I was running my hand up the wall. We got to a landing, and I started feeling for the wall again. And I was having a completely not myself moment. And then got up to the top of the stairs, and then I became agitated again. I couldn't get into a room that I wanted to get into, but the door wasn't there. And there was a door there, except in physical, there was no door. So I got back after we went through this whole evening. Anyways, I went home with this information, and I used my favorite friend, Google, and I Googled the name Mary Schofield. And actually, while I was in this building, just to let you know, there's a theater, like a performance theater, attached to the building on the other side. And as I was sitting in the theater, I had another, I had a little app running on my phone for to pick up names and different words and things, and the word Adam came up, and then the word father, and then a few other words, and it was funny because as I started Googling this information, the name Adam Schofield came up, and so then it piqued my interest, and I started looking more into it, and I found out that indeed Mary Schofield did exist. She was an actual person. And the odd thing was that she didn't live in this home where we were. She lived in another home, but she was the sister-in-law of the woman in the home, who was the wife of the people that owned the home. So she'd spent a great deal of time there, and as I Googled her a little more and started digging, I found out that she had been committed to the Hamilton Psychiatric Asylum in 1901. And she was blind at the time. She was 58 years old, and she was considered to be out of her mind. And I very much felt that way when I had the experience. And I've had that happen many times to me, where I will go into a building, get a name, it'll be very vivid, I'll get a lot of information, I'll go home, I'll Google it, and these people will have actually existed, and I'll be able to tell a whole story of their lives just from what they've given me. So I don't know how to explain that. That's something that to this day, after doing this many, many times, I used to question it and think I was crazy. Now I just know that it's information being given to me from out there
Seika?
somewhere.
It almost sounds like she took over your
Can
body.
you dig it? We are taking a break, guys.
Taking a break. All right.
Yeah, it's the Mary Janes.
When I was a
Piggy
boy,
boy. All right, dig it.
My
Rock
family
with the
bought a
wolf
pig.
man. Dig it. All right.
He wasn't very smart. He wasn't very big, but we loved that pig. We raised that pig. We took care of that pig. We danced around with that pig. We drank beer with that pig. We went to school with that pig. I had a bath with that pig. Sometimes we slept with that pig. Well, he was a piggy, just like no other. More than a pet. That pig was like my brother, Piggy boy. Oh, Piggy boy. Yeah, Piggy boy. A piggity boy. Standing back by the door. We didn't have nothing for months to eat now. He saw us coming and he took to his feet. He was out the door, down the steps, through the gate, down the street. Oh, there he goes, he's running. There goes the meat. And the people cried, run, piggy boy, 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 piggy boy. People cried, run, piggy boy, 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 piggy boy. Here we go. Triangulated piggy boy's trajectory. My mother and my father and my brother and me. Needless to say, we tracked him down on Alaska, so he would have got the towing. Ain't a single one of us a butcher. You see, but we had to do our best to be the family. I never knew a tribe from a snout, for sure. I never knew a knowing from a groin, no doubt, no doubt. We made that figure out. Made that figure out. We chopped that figure out. And we made that figure out. Never gave you no Christian name, but we call you delicious boy just the same. Singing run, piggy boy, 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 singing run, piggy boy, 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 piggy boy. That's right, run, all kinds of music. Get your
good New Orleans story
Yeah,
for you
we
guys.
got back
so
on the air.
I'll tell you that one.
Oh wow! Over that break, folks, we were talking about Seika and I were from. We have friends from the same area where I saw the fireflies and the big red orb.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually, like I said, that I have heard before too. I have not experienced it, but I have experienced some similar things in the bayou of Louisiana.
I guess the drinking word tonight is going to have to be, the trigger word is going to have to be orbs. Whenever we say orbs, you guys got to take a drink. I'm thinking.
All right. Hey.
You guys are going to be drunk by the end of the night.
That just depends on how many times we say orbs.
Hey, Darren, are you still there? And Jeff?
Did we lose Jeff?
I don't know. There's no activity.
I've been talking.
Oh, okay.
I was on mute. I'm sorry.
No,
there he is.
It seemed to me that there might have been a problem with the connection.
No, I had it on mute too.
I
that's
did
fine.
too. Just shoot me in the orb.
Oh, damn it. You guys got to drink again. Far out, right on, and excellent. This is Wolfman Mike on Monster Castle Paranormal Radio, KTLK, The Fringe.fm. Dig it. All right.
Tiki, your friends saw fairies too?
Yes, they did. Well, see, here's the, like I said, interesting story. And it came out of, they'd never told me this story before, but I had mentioned I was down, we go to Louisiana every year, and we've been going down there since Katrina, and we have friends, very good friends down there, and we have friends who live in the bayou, and she takes us out all the time into the bayou with her boat, and she's a boat captain, and she does tours and everything down there, a lot of fishing and things like that. And we like to go out sort of at dusk. So she took us out to see the feu follet. So down in Louisiana, in the bayous, they have something called the feu follet, and the feu follet is essentially the little green spirits that hover on the water, but you don't follow the feu follet because they take you to places where you will die.
Oh,
so
that's nice.
No, it's not. It's very good. If you die,
so if you see the feu follet when you are in the bayou, you don't follow them. Now, the stories down there for many different little things like the lutins. The lutins are a little, almost like dead babies who come back and they do mischievous things so they don't hurt you, but you might find your horse's mane has been all braided overnight, or you may come and find something painted on the side of your house. And so these are the lutins that come, and then you have the feu follet. So when I was telling these stories to a friend of mine who lives down in Simcoe, the other end of Lake Erie there, sort of towards Port Rowan, they were saying that they had been out fishing, and oddly enough, it was about 9:30 at night, and they were fishing, and they brought the boat up to the shore, and as they were loading the boat back on the trailer and getting in their truck, they swore up and down that they saw little green, I call them feu follet, but little fairies, and they were in the bushes at the side of the water where they were. And they were really freaked out by this, but I have never seen them. But and then you mentioned, now was that in the same area?
No, that was where Wolfman lives at his farm, his tobacco farm.
Nice. Where was that, Wolfman?
Oh, sorry, I was doing something there. Yeah.
Where did you see the as I call them, feu
actually,
follet?
It was down by Port Burwell. But that's
okay,
right.
so
That's right
same area.
Next door.
Same
that's
area.
Right, the same area.
Just next door.
But the orb I encountered, they were white, and they were little tiny, and there were a whole bunch of them. And I thought they looked fireflies. They were not fireflies, and that's why I followed them.
How many orbs
That's
did you
what they
see?
said too.
And then one of them came up to me, and it turned into a red. It was about basketball size, right in front of me, and hovered right in front of me.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's
right in
a
front of your
significant
face.
orb.
Actually supports my story, hearing another story that I did not know about. I had no idea. Similar, but it's green. But did one of them approach them at all? Did one of the things approach you?
Well,
friends?
they said they were like, they couldn't, they swore they were like little, to them, they said they were like little greenish balls, like little, they call them fairies, right? But they said, and they kind of swarmed at them for a second and then just disappeared. And they said they just jumped in the truck. They were like totally freaked out, and they were like, I don't know what it was. It was like little fairies, like we were being attacked. And
you could also
they
call
just got in the truck and they took off.
Orbs.
What did you say about dead babies? Dead babies were braiding a horse's mane?
Oh, okay, lutin. They're called lutin. They are, down in Louisiana, they have some fantastic paranormal stories. These things are just incredibly amazing. When you're down in the bayou, if you've never been in the bayou, I can't explain it to you. Have you guys ever watched Swamp People?
Oh, yeah.
Gator hunters?
I like going to the swamp, yeah.
And these guys that are on the show, they're all friends with our friend who's the captain. She knows them all. Actually, some of them she got on that show, so she does some production stuff down there. But when you go into the bayous, you can get lost.
Have you ever seen a skunk ape out there?
Yeah,
oh, well, they have the skunk ape, but they have the rougarou.
Oh, the rougarou, it's even worse.
The good old rougarou, right? So the shapeshifting werewolf creature that lives down in the bayou.
Ooh.
But they have the lutin, and I'm very fascinated with the lutin because the idea of little dead babies that have passed on that come back and they get into little mischievous things and they literally will show up, and you'll get up in the morning and if you've got a horse, like one woman actually, she reported a story to the police down there in Cocodrie, and is a spot down in Louisiana, lower Louisiana. And she told the story of when she got up in the morning that she knew that the lutin were there because her horse's mane had all been braided like crazy, like it was messy and all braided, and so they truly believe that these little spirit babies fly around and get into all kinds of mischief. And we when we go down to the bayou and we stay in very much what you see, the house up on stilts with the water right across from you. And whenever we go every year, and our friend, she had her son now, he's in his 20s, but when he was a young lad, we would freak him out by putting 13 pennies at the bottom of the stairs. So you can imagine the house is like 9 feet off the ground, so you've got a good flight of stairs going up on the outside. We'd put 13 pennies on the ground at the bottom of the stairs, and the first time he saw them, he's like, what's 13? That for?
Okay, wait a minute. Why 13? Why?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to tell you the story. 13 pennies, because the rougarou can't count past 10. So it confuses them. So they keep going over and over trying to count the pennies, which means that they'll never come up the steps to your home.
Oh, right. Man. So, I would get rid of those things in a different way, man. I don't know any wait around the corner.
I don't know any babies that
sneak up behind them and you know what I mean?
Well, you have to experience the environment and the culture there. It's unlike any other. It's a fantastic place to be. We love it. It's our second home down there. But it's just the paranormal is so ensconced in their lives down there, and the belief and all of these things that happen, that it's very fascinating to get the stories from older people that tell you the stories of things that they've seen and things they've experienced. And when you hear these howls in the bayou at night, you have to wonder if the rougarou is really out there or not. It's an environment that it's just so very different from here or Arizona or Oregon or anywhere. It's a very unique place to be, and it's very, very creepy.
I'm interested if you have any pictures, or have you tried to take any pictures of these things?
You know what? I've never have. I'm like horrible for technology in that respect. I have a phone. I very rarely use the darn thing. My husband's a photographer. Now, he's taken some shots, And we've gotten some really interesting shots that because his camera shoots incredibly high speed, 16 frames a second, we've gotten some things that you can't see with your own eyes. And then you look back at them on the camera and you're like, where the heck did that come from? And if you shoot through those 16 frames in a second, there might be 3 frames with something in it that you just literally cannot explain. You blow it up, you look at it, you pixelize it, you reverse it, you negative the image. And I don't know how familiar you guys are with doing that kind of thing to find out or debunk whether something is just
what
a
have you
piece
seen?
of dust on a lens or do that. What's that? Oh, what did we see? Oh, well, actually, this was shot in Hamilton. Yeah. So, Wolfman, you'll appreciate this. There's an old theater in Hamilton. It was a vaudeville theater,
Forgotten Rebels,
and they're
baby.
turning they're turning it into condos now. But we got to go into the space and do an investigation, and it's an old vaudeville stage. And there was no lighting. There was just one work lamp set up in there. It was dark and it was right. But my husband was shooting, and we got some fantastic orbs and ectoplasm. Like you swear it is green ectoplasm.
Oh man, I gotta see this. Can you post that up for us somewhere on Twitter, possibly?
I will post it up. I've got another shot which somebody took with a cell phone while I was doing an investigation in Niagara Falls. And when I came into this place, I didn't want to know anything about it. And that's really my prerequisite for when I go to a site. I don't want to know I don't want to know the history of the building. I don't want to know the stories about the entities or ghosts or spirits or anything.
1247.
I want to go in there.
1247. By the way, it's 1247. 1247.
It is 1247.
1247.
It is 1247.
Do you know anything about 47? Why is 47 such a strange number?
Fascinating.
It's not strange to me. It's got a 7 in it.
I don't know. I see 47.
Actually, it's 47 is one of those numbers where I guess it depends on who you are and how you look at things. Much like the number 13, everybody thinks the number 13 is bad luck, but it's only bad luck if you're a Templar.
I don't think it's bad luck or good luck. I just don't understand it. Why do I keep seeing 47s everywhere?
It could be just something that's, you got to discover that on your own.
Okay,
it's sometimes numbers come up for a reason.
Investigating it on the internet, I came up with it's the most commonly occurring randomly generated number from 1 to 100. So if you rolled a 100-sided die over and over and over, 47 comes up more than any other number. Always.
And you believe that?
Well, I don't know. I didn't do the study myself.
Try it.
But it's a good
idea. Get a dice
to try
and roll the dice 100 times and see what comes up.
I'd have to get out my Dungeons dice. I have dice that'll do
There you go.
My Dungeons and Dragons dice. Yeah.
The one with the dice with 50 sides on it?
I got 2 10-sided. So if you roll 2 10-sided dice.
I have a 20-sided.
Or a die.
What do you think of that, Wolfman?
If you roll 2 10-sided die, it does generate a number from 1 to 100.
That's true.
It will, correct.
Yeah.
So you'd have to experiment for that yourself by rolling that dice 100 times.
Over and over and over, and sit there and you do it. I'll get Ego to do that, not me.
Well, just take a drink every time you do it.
Oh my God!
Only if
You'll
it's
see
orbs
47.
Counting more
orbs.
I'm counting. I'm just gonna keep on counting all night long.
Why did the Templars take number 13?
Well, the number 13 was the day that they were executed for their crimes against Christianity, although there were no crimes. That was just the French king at the time wanted the Templars' money, so he did away with them on October the 13th. So that is why the number 13 has a bad connotation to it if you so are Christian and you believe in that.
Well, 3 and 1 is 4. And 4 is a good number.
That's right.
So I have
well,
nothing wrong with
unless you're
13.
in Chinese, because then 4 equates with death.
Well,
so it's a very bad number in Chinese.
But death to me is just a rebirth, and it's a good thing. And 4 is a musical number because it's the most commonly used in music as 4/4 time.
This is true.
And there's also 440, which is the bass keynote that we use to tune A440.
Which sucks. Right?
Yeah.
Isn't it like the
Yes.
the worst mistake ever?
I want to try to tuning to A47.
Isn't it? Ever since the Nazis switched it over, they said everything's been out of tune in the world. We should do a show on that. I have a friend that James wants to talk about that.
Revibration of the universe.
Do you know about that, Seika?
I do. Yes, I do.
Could you talk about it?
I wouldn't say I'm an expert on it by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm well aware of it.
So could you talk about the 440 and when they switched it and everything?
No. Like I say, I know about it. I'm not versed in it. So it's things that I've read about, but I'm not I would not be comfortable going,
another day.
Hey, I know about this, because I don't. I'm not, like I say, I'm no
okay.
expert in that, but I have read about it.
You know what I want to ask you about is archaeology.
What's that?
Your archaeology, your battlefield archaeologist?
Battlefield archaeology.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to ask you about. I'm interested. I
What
don't know
would
what
you
that
like to
is.
know?
I don't know what that is. What do you mean, battlefield?
Oh, well, okay. It's essentially a degree in archaeology, but my major was in battlefield archaeology. So what I study or what I research now is old battlefields.
Now, wait a minute.
So
I was thinking like you had to go fighting to get to the place, and you take a gun and some soldiers with you. Fuck you, man. I'm going to take over this goddamn archaeology site, all right.
to getting any results other than dead. No, but what I do is I do go to old battlefield sites, and we do archaeological excavations on old battlefield sites. I've done a lot of War of 1812 stuff here in Ontario.
You don't go in there with guns and shoot people and say, "Get off my archaeological site. Fuck you, I'll shoot you." No? Oh, shit. All right.
No.
I thought it
not
was
that
like
kind of
that.
battle. So we're not fighting for the site. We're actually going to sites where people fought.
I was thinking it would be groovy,
it's an interesting adventure.
Shika, how long was the War of 1812? I don't know very much about it. And where was it fought?
What's that?
Could you talk about the War of 1812?
The War of 1812? You mean you wouldn't know about it because you live on the other side of America.
I know.
I have a great question.
I just know a little about it. I know it was in a couple movies where they mentioned it, but I don't know anything about it.
Movies
wait
make
a minute.
it good.
I got a better question.
What were you saying, Wolfman?
Related to that question, but better is can you tell us about any other wars that were not recorded in the history books that may have happened between the States and Canada along that shoreline? Like not 1812.
Well, see, here's the thing with the States and Canada, right? What we have to look at is we have had an ongoing history, but in reality, for the most part, it was all run by the British initially, right? So the British and the Dutch were the two countries that came here. Canada, of course, originally had the French, because the French were the first people here outside of the Vikings. We know the Vikings came here. They were the first guys, other than St. Brendan. But St. Brendan probably didn't make it here. He just made it over to, he might have made it to Newfoundland, maybe. But in the terms of the way that things have happened up and down, there's been many skirmishes over the years from essentially the time of the first European people coming to this country on this side, so on the eastern seaboard of Canada and what is now, the America. But unknown, unwritten, undocumented, no real wars, because let's face it, the War of 1812 wasn't actually a war either. It was a whole lot of skirmishes, and I know people don't really understand what the difference is, but a war is a longer period of time. You're locked into certain positions. You are fighting with X number of people over something in particular. So, we're all well aware of World War I, World War II, what the purposes were for those, and all the other thousands of wars we've had. As far as wars here, we've had really very little outside of we have had the Fenian, which was in the 1800s. We've had the War of 1812. There was the French Indian War. We've had, obviously, the Americans had the Revolution. We've had the Civil War, all of those things. But we really haven't had any unknown wars. So, any unknown in the respect of what you're thinking. It's we've tried to be good neighbors for as long as possible, but I can tell you I have experienced some very interesting things on sites. I've been to some Confederate war sites. I've been to the battlefield in New Orleans for the War of 1812. And just to answer, was it Jeff? Did you ask me the question, or?
No, it was Darren.
It was Darren. Okay. Just in regards to what is the War of 1812, essentially the War of 1812 took place between Canada and the U.S. over the British being dicks. Did I say that? The Americans wanted them out. The Americans wanted them out, and they didn't want to leave. Okay. And so it was a push back and forth between a very small piece of land that, it essentially became a big deal. And it became a big deal to the point where obviously there was a great deal of lives lost, especially First Nations people, Tecumseh, his men. You had a lot of small skirmishes, but no real war to speak of. So even though it's called the War of 1812, it was a lot of skirmishes over a great distance of, between essentially what is today Kentucky all the way up to Quebec City.
How long did this go on?
It was a
one year, 1812.
No,
1 year.
That's
1812. Hey, that's why it's called the War of 1812. It actually, War of 1812, it took place. There was a lot of skirmishes between 1812 and 1814. The Treaty of Ghent was signed on December the 6th in 1814, and this is where the Battle of New Orleans comes in, because the Battle of New Orleans, of course, Andrew Jackson, and if you're at all versed in pirate history, which I am immensely as well, because there was a lot of battles going on with that, Jean Lafitte and Andrew Jackson defeated the British in, well, I won't say Jean Lafitte per se, but his men defeated the British in New Orleans. And that was the last battle of the War of 1812, kicking the British out of New Orleans. And that took place January of 1815, because they didn't get the memo that said, hey guys, we signed the treaty, there's no war anymore. Because nobody had cell phones in those days, so things didn't travel quite as fast with social media. It usually took a few months. So they actually didn't get any notification until after the fact. So, but
were you able to? Have you done up anything in New Orleans?
Oh, yeah, well, I was going to segue into that. I actually was in the Chalmette battlefield, and this was probably 5 or 6 years ago now. And we had gone into Chalmette battlefield. And when we say Chalmette battlefield, it's really nothing. It's an old plantation property that was where predominantly the Battle of New Orleans took place. It's actually 8 miles outside of New Orleans proper. So it's in a place called St. Bernard Parish, and it's just down the river around the curve. So it was an ideal spot for them to set up, but the battlefield was about 100 acres of plantation land. So there was sugar cane growing on it, and there was things. The crops had been cut for the season because it was the winter time. So they were set up in this person's, and it was 3 plantations in a row. So now it's just one, and it's a national park. So it's called Chalmette Battlefield. But in the day, it was 3 plantations. So the British had come and set up their troops. They came in from Lake Bourne. They come up through the Gulf of Mexico, and they'd set up their troops in this one it's a very small area. And so they were walled in by the Mississippi River on 2 sides, and then a gigantic swamp for 33 miles on the other side. The Americans came in and set up essentially a blockade wall across the other side of the plantation. Andrew Jackson took the house over, the old plantation house, as his headquarters. So if you can imagine, this is a really tight area. So if you look at 100 acres of farm field and you divide that and say the Americans got 1/3 of it and the British got the other 2/3. Right? So the Americans are set up. They put up a mud wall. They put up straw, bales of cotton, everything they can to create a division between themselves and the British troops. And Jean Lafitte's men roll in with the ship, the Carolina, and a number of things, and they roll out the cannons, and they're firing constantly on the British. Well, as we get through this battle, if you can envision this, so it's a nightmare, and the Americans launch a night attack on the British while they're asleep in their tents, and they're all, snuggled down for the night. Suddenly the Carolina starts launching, 30-pound cannonballs at them off of their ship, and it's a disarray. So segue to me walking into the battlefield.
We gotta
it's
have a
now a
break
tourist destination. Oh, you need a break?
Top of the hour, baby. All right, this is the Wolfman, and we're coming back. Hang on to that thought.
We will.
We're gonna do a really groovy song, man. All right. If it works, let's see. Oh,
you better play something good.
Oh, I got something. Yeah. Rockin' with the Wolfman. Gambling. Rumadai.
Says Buram. Kutot Beluna. The rhythm of the night is Ruma, you and I. We're gonna party till the morning light. It's alright. 'Cause we never say goodbye. Everybody dance, dance, dance in the disco. Ruma, die, die. Ruma, die. I wanna take you from Paris to San Francisco. I feel so high. Ruma, die. Everybody dance, dance, dance in the disco. Ruma, die, die. Ruma, die. I wanna take you from Paris to San Francisco. You and I. Ruma, die. Ruma, die, die. Ruma, die. You and I. Ruma, die. Everybody dance, dance, dance in the disco. Ruma, die. Ruma, die. I wanna take you from Paris to San Francisco. You and I. Ruma, die. Bonjour, l'amour. I'll take you on a long séjour. Hola, ¿qué tal, Maria? You turn me on like sweet sangria. You and I, we're gonna party till the morning light. It's alright, 'cause we never say goodbye. Everybody dance, dance, dance in the disco. Ruma, die, die. Ruma, die. I wanna take you from Paris to San Francisco. I feel so high. Ruma, die. Everybody dance, dance, dance in the disco. Ruma, die, die. Ruma, die. I wanna take you from Paris to San Francisco. You and I. Ruma, die.
Can you dig it? KTLK the Bridge. FM, baby. Groovy. Fantastic. Yeah.
Dance, dance, dance in the disco. Ruma, die, die. Ruma, die. I wanna take you from Paris to San Francisco. You and I. Ruma, die.
Oh, fantastic. Groovy. Oh, man. I hope you guys like that one. It's crazy. That was Dan Bland.
Yeah, I was dancing.
Well, you said something about dancing, so there you go. Yeah.
Woohoo.
I hope we had everybody dancing there. All right. Where
I felt like there was a mirror orb in the middle of the room.
Yeah, it almost seemed like
There
dancing
was.
orbs, man.
It was vibrating.
Orbs. I painted a picture of when I was in high school. It's like a floating eyeball on top of the ocean, and you can see the reflection in the water. It's really weird. I don't know why I did. It looked like an orb. It looks like an orb. Yeah.
It was a
Everybody
precursor
drink.
to what you were doing now.
Yeah.
You just didn't know it at the time.
Everybody drink, you know. Orb is the key word. It's what do you call that? The trigger.
It's party time.
Yeah.
Orb.
The orb is the trigger.
It's the drinking word of the night.
Yeah.
That's right, the trigger word.
I miss barnacles.
There you go.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Cup of party.
That was our word
There we
last
are.
week. Barnacles.
Yeah.
All right.
I
There you
got
go.
something. I got something I wanted to ask.
Okay.
Okay. You know, I live on this road, and it's called Carter Road, in that area, and I know the Carter family, and they're like they pioneered that area. Their family goes way back to when Canada first started, and they have like passed down knowledge orally, you know, that's not written down, and they say there was another attack on Canada that's not hidden. It's not in the history books. And when the States came over, it was somewhere around Port Burwell area, and
Okay. You know what? Yeah.
and it ended up in
Bacchus Mill.
Okay, it ended up in the town of Richmond, and on the top of that hill,
Mm-hmm.
the farmers built a cannon and put shrapnel in from their farm implements, and made it into a big
Right.
big shotgun, and that's what ended it.
There's a story of Bacchus
That's
Mill.
the story I was told.
And that's yeah. It's not proven. It's been talked about, but there's really almost zero evidence of that really taking place. And it's funny you should say the Carter family, because the home that I went into with the Mary Schofield story, they are also Carters.
Wow, that's synchronicity there.
So they actually settled here in Port Colborne as well, two brothers, and built up quite a large farm community here amongst themselves. They were quite wealthy, so they were probably and most likely part of the same family, being that it is the same area along Lake Erie. So I would suspect that they would be of the same family of Carters that have made their way along the south shore of, technically the north shore of Lake Erie, but for us it's the south shore.
Anyways, he's a good bass player.
So,
Dude is an awesome
shall I
bass
just
player.
segue momentarily back into my Louisiana story so we finish that off, and people who are listening won't go, what the heck happened?
All
I
right.
didn't get the rest of the story. All right. So as I was saying, segue into the whole War of 1812 thing, going into Louisiana. Myself, my husband, and a friend of ours were walking through the down in Louisiana. They have a national cemetery for every war that they've been involved in, and this cemetery lays up along the side of the Mississippi River and the Chalmette battlefield. So we were walking through the cemetery, and I picked up a few things in the cemetery, but as we made our way through, the cemetery opens. There's an opening in the wall that goes out into the Chalmette battlefield. So my husband and our friend Irish sat down on this bench under a tree, and I walked out. There's a platform out with descriptive, what do you want to call them, like tourist information plaques on this thing to talk about the battlefield. Now, I wasn't really thinking of anything in terms of the battlefield. I was just sort of like, oh, hey, yeah, okay, I'm here. I've been there before. I walked out, and down in Louisiana and down in around the bayous and that, there's, and I don't know if you might know this, Wolfman, depending on how far back you go. Do you remember crawfish here in Ontario?
Oh yeah, I remember.
Okay.
I used to whoop them things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll eat
So
those
down in
things.
Louisiana,
Suck 'em
they have the
right
crawfish build little crawfish castles. So they're like these little mud towers that come up out of the fields. So I was walking out to check one out, and I went to look at it and take a little picture of it with my cell phone and whatnot. And I started to walk back towards where my husband and our friend were sitting, and I went to sit down on the bench. And as soon as I went to sit down, everything just changed. It was like I blacked out. It was dark. It was nighttime. All I could hear was a battle going on around me. I could smell gunpowder. I could see flash flares going off. And I could see these two boys, and they were maybe 14 and 17. And it's still to this day, anytime I tell this story, it makes me very emotionally upset because I had two boys that are around the same age. And so I could just think of them when this was going on. But these two boys, and one was trying to grab my arm and make me run with him. And he says, come on, we have to run, we have to run. And they were scared, and they were crying, and they were running and towards the swamp and dragging me with them. And I'm running, and I didn't even realize where I was. I was just running. And, of course, at this time now I'm halfway in the cemetery again, and my husband's running after me, and I'm crying, and I'm bawling, and I'm not even aware of what's going on around me because I'm in the middle of this battle. And it was just the freakiest thing that had ever happened to me as far as an experience, and you can probably hear I'm a little weirded out by it still today. It was so intense, and it was so bizarre. It was like I was there in the middle of the night battle of the War of 1815 in Louisiana, and I'd been caught up with these two boys, and they literally had grabbed my arm and were running with me and telling me to run. Like they were so scared, and one of them was crying, and the other one was saying, come on, we have to go here, we have to go here. And they were running off into what used to be the swamp, which is now the cemetery. So very, very bizarre. I've had that happen to me on dig sites before, where I've had to kind of excuse myself from the moment.
Were these American boys?
No, they were British. They were two British boys. I was in the British encampment, and that was the weirdest thing. It was like I had literally walked into the British encampment at night.
So you're into archaeology, but you're really, the spirit world is just taken over for you when you're studying.
Well, it's and you know what? It's very unique in that respect that I think I'm so, I want to say, I don't know, gifted in that respect that when I am on these sites that I am able to get this kind of information. You can't get this kind of information from digging in the ground. You just can't.
You didn't get any names,
I feel very, I don't know what the word is, but I feel very gifted
blessed.
that I'm able to experience these things.
You're blessed.
I guess if you want to call it that, yeah.
Or else,
it's a very unique experience that no amount of digging in the dirt or handling artifacts or doing any of that can actually bring forward. It's like being there in the moment for these people that come to me. And, like I say, Mary Schofield in the house, that, I could feel her manic, depressive behavior and the way that she felt and how distraught and upset she was. And I've had another soldier in Lundy's Lane come to me during the War of 1812 there. I had another experience. I've had quite a few when I've been doing 1812 things. So sometimes I just have to step away from it and just separate myself from the...
when Mary Schofield came up to you...
What's that?
What did she... You kind of skipped over that when the first encounter with Mary Schofield when you first saw her.
Right. Well, I didn't really skip over it. It was just she had just kind of made herself known to me. I didn't physically see her, and that's the thing. Like sometimes when I sit down with people who come to me for a reading, I will get a real clear image of what these people look like. And they're not in front of me. It's not like they're in my peripheral. So this was like Mary. She was in my peripheral.
What was that? Did you hear that noise? Anyone else? Hey, Jeff, was that you that made that noise? That wasn't me, man.
No, I didn't do it.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Sorry, guys. I'm not meaning to push stuff through the phone.
That was a weird sound I just heard. It was like a big scratching sound or something like that. Like, or someone who was like a monster, actually. It really sounded like a monster.
Well, you're in a castle. We're in the castle with the monsters. Come on. You're going to hear that, right?
We are in the monster castle.
But that was a real
That's
monster.
Right.
That was a real
That's right.
But Igor, get up here.
Let me ask you guys a question, because you all do investigations, right?
Yeah, I do.
Right?
I do.
Okay.
I don't know.
I do.
I don't really do investigations, but I ask a lot of questions.
Wolfman, you do investigations?
I do hands-on investigations. I do exorcisms. I anything. Yeah.
My husband does a lot of clearings and house clearings and personal clearings
really
as
good
well.
at that.
But what about you, Daryl or Jeff? No, you guys just like, do you do research or what do you guys like doing?
I do a lot of research. Asking questions, research.
Only reason I'm asking is because I find it interesting because when I meet people who do this, you know, I often wonder what draws them to it. You know, how do you first get involved in it? I mean, I know for me, it's just been my entire life. Like since I've been a child, I've been able to see things. I used to see like dead pets, and my mom would tell me to go back to bed because I was having nightmares, and but it's outside on the windowsill, like my cat or something that had passed on, and, you know, she would just think I was having a nightmare or something. But for me, it's just always been a part of my life, and for my kids, it's always been a part of their life because they've always been perceptive and intuitive as well. But I just wonder with some people, because I get to meet a lot of really interesting people who do this, and I often ask them that question, you know, what drew you to this, or what was your first experience? Like you know, let me ask you, Wolfman, like, how did you end up doing this?
Okay,
I'm curious now because I'm gonna take over and ask the question, but I'm just curious because I want to know, you know, your experience because I've had so many of them.
I had it since childhood too, and I remember being born and all kinds of weird things, and I was born with a triangular scar, equilateral triangle on the back of my calf that stayed white for a long time. It looked like a scar when I was born. That doesn't make sense. My mother had recurring dreams of a spaceship landing in the backyard and all throughout the pregnancy, and it stopped when I was born. And I've always seen UFOs. The hair on the back of my neck stands up when I know they're going to be there, and I see them. And I see ghosts and shadow people. I can sense evil presences and get them out of houses so the kids can sleep at night. I don't know. Shall I go on? I've seen cryptids. I've seen a lake. Monster.
I know what you're saying though, because it's just interesting. Like for some of us who have just always been able to be, you know, I don't know sometimes what you want to call it.
Also, I have a telepathic connection with certain people, and I don't need a cell phone.
No, I agree. I'm the same way like that as well. Like I always know, you know, with certain people as well, what's up, what's going on. You know, it's just one of those things. I think it's, you know, intuition and perception, and just from and I'm going to ask like all of you guys if you feel the same. Now, obviously, Wolfman, you'll be more like I am in this respect, but you know, do you feel like everybody has an ability to do this?
I do. I think everybody can do it, and you just have to listen to that little voice. That's what I always say. Listen to that little voice and look around you for the odd thing in your environment. Always look to the sky. Always look around you for strange oddities in your environment. Well,
I believe that too. Even when I speak at events and I talk to people about, you know, my mediumship skills, and I say, well, I don't feel like I'm really special here. Like I don't. I believe that everybody has this ability. It's just if it's not turned on in the brain, or if it's been, you know, negatively influenced by outside, you know, opinions. Because let's face it, if you don't grow up in a very open family who believes in these kinds of things, obviously you're not going to believe in them yourself unless you get smacked in the face with it, right? But I just find that, like I say, I think everybody is able to do it like you. Like just, you know, it's whether or not they're open to it or they're perceptive, or you're right, like just pay attention to what's going on around you and understand that, you know, as I was saying with Jeff earlier, that for me the whole thing is about physics and energy, and even, you know, now they're talking with quantum physics. You know, there's been a few people who are saying that, you know, when you die, your spirit or your energy, soul, whatever you want to call it, passes into another universe. And so, Jeff, since you're the science guy, do you feel that that's possible or plausible?
I think so. There's been I mean, there's been like evidence that you could apply the scientific principle to it.
Right. And I just asked because I'm, I don't know if you guys are aware of the God spark.
Like I said, if you know science, if you can repeat it and you get the same results over and over again, then it must be true.
Mm-hmm. Like, have you guys heard of the God spark?
I have.
It happens when you're born. It happens when you die.
Yeah, I'm familiar with
right.
that.
It's that moment when your consciousness enters your body and when it leaves it. So what is that? Is it your soul? Is it the energy that makes you who you are? We don't know, right? Even science doesn't know. They've been able to visually capture it. They've been able to see it happen, but they don't really understand in the brain what switches that on and what switches it off. But my interest is, as like saying with the physics side of it, is once you can't, I mean, energy can neither be created nor destroyed, as they say. So if that is the case, we are created, but yet we are created with energy that already exists in the universe, and when we die, it goes back into the universe. So that's why I asked about multiple universes, because I'm kind of the mind of single-mindedness. If you pass on, your energy goes back into the same universe in which we dwell, which to me makes sense, because when we access this, like Wolfman, if you and I are in an environment and we are approached by an entity, a spirit, whatever, if they're talking to us, if you hear them, I don't know if you hear them, do they speak to you?
Yeah.
Or do you just see them? Yeah.
I actually, you know what? I'll tell you something. In some of the shows that I've done lately, there's EVPs in my shows.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear the voices. I don't know.
You'll get that, yeah. And I find that interesting because, like I say, it's like if they were somewhere else, how would we connect with them?
The last thing I heard was really creepy. It said something about murder in a really whispering voice. And, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've had, like I say, I've had a couple of places where I've been like that, and we've gotten those EVPs, and you listen to them back, and you're like, is this for real? Like, is you sure somebody's not back there just going, kill them?
I got to tell you, I haven't found the exact spot back yet, and I've been trying to find it back in that recording. Maybe it was just in my head, because I haven't found it back yet, but I heard it clear.
The funny thing is, we did an investigation in just outside of Hamilton on the way to Brantford. There's a little school called the Langford School, and it's no longer a school, but this couple bought the building to preserve it. It's an old schoolhouse. It was built in the 1800s. They use it now for social events and rent it out for weddings and things like that. We did a couple of paranormal investigations in there. And it was really great because I didn't know a lot, like the people that came out. And every year around Halloween or the Day of the Dead, I do a big paranormal event. So it's usually like a mediumship session. I'll do a gallery reading, and I'll have people come in, and I'll just start channeling whoever comes to me in the space and give out the information. But we did it at the school this night. And we were sitting around. There wasn't a lot of us. There was maybe about 15 of us, and we were sitting at this big, long table, and we were just chatting. And one of the guys that came out with his wife was saying, it's really interesting. I went to this school as a child. So in the 70s or 60s, he had gone to this little schoolhouse. And I said, oh, yeah. And he says, yeah, my friend Paul went here, and he was the caretaker for a really long time. And he passed away a couple of years ago. Excuse me. Well, while we're sitting around the table, there's a couple of women there with their phones, and they've got their little EVP things going on their phones. And this one woman keeps going, who's playing with my hair? And she thought it was her friend beside her. And there was, her friend's like, I'm not touching you. And we're all like looking. We're like, well, we didn't see her do anything. And so she's laughing and giggling and whatnot. And we were sitting around sort of gathering evidence and listening to people's, recordings and stuff. And so she plays back on her little EVP thing. And we're sitting there, and all you can hear is us, talking, and then you can hear her giggling, and then you hear this voice go, it's Paul. And we're like, what the hell? What? Where'd that come from? And, of course, Paul's friend, who was in the room, goes, oh, my God, can you play that again? So she goes back on her phone and plays it again, and it's just like, it's Paul. And he goes, that's Paul's voice. And I'm like, okay. So I actually have that EVP. It's interesting. Like she managed to send it to me, so I've got that clip. But every once in a while, you'll get little nuggets like that, and I've gotten a few of them, and I hang on to the ones that I can, and like I say, the photos and things. But for the most part, my stories, I probably should write them down, but I don't, and I just kind of keep them in my head, and they stay there because they're a part of me after I experience these people.
Everybody from hashtag DM Talk knows to write it down. If you don't write it down, I'll show you what happens. In the end, it's always the same.
Hey, Seika?
Yes, sir.
Have you found anything in archaeology besides, the spirit world? Did you ever find anything on the battlefields?
Oh, we find a lot of things. Yeah, I mean, when artifacts all the time. I mean, those are things that are just expected to be found. We find things like buckles, buttons, pieces of old firearms, like a long bess, or you'll find a flintlock dog head, or pieces, things like that stay in the ground. Depending on where I've been now, War of 1812 sites, generally you're getting musket balls and like I say, buckles off of shoes or belts or bags. Sometimes you'll find a few pieces of leather, lots of pipes, little pieces of clay pipe from the British soldiers, and you'll get things like that. Nothing, we're not finding bones and body parts, right?
Oh, wow. Yes. Now I know what I found. That pipe I thought was an Indian or a Native American, may have been just from the soldiers. It was a clay pipe.
What did it look like? Was it a white clay pipe?
It was, kind of a sandstone color, like.
Okay, so you may have. And what was the shape on it? Because I also make Indian, like First Nations effigy pipes. I do a lot of copies of stuff for museums and things.
It was quite delicate. It was. I can't remember what happened to it now. I found it in the field when I was growing tobacco, when I was plowing.
Now, was it a long stem or a thicker, shorter stem?
It had a really nice, straight, thin, very delicate stem, and it was half broken off.
Okay, and was it sort of like a yellowy sandstone color, or
exactly.
was it?
Yep.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Yep.
Okay, those are English stem pipes. They're the clay pipes. They were very popular in the 1800s for a lot of the farmers and workers and things. So.
That's what it was.
Wow.
All right.
That's so cool.
We came to the bottom of something.
But those are always cool finds, right? I mean, those kinds of things
really
that, when you find stuff like that, they're great to hang on to. I mean, you're technically not supposed to, but...
Seika, I really appreciate that. You got to the bottom of one of the things I was investigating for me. You know what's really weird? I can't log into Twitter. I've been cut off
That's down
Twitter.
for me too, man.
Really? You can't log into Twitter
Really?
either? Yeah,
Okay,
I cannot log into Twitter.
Now you guys have got me. You've got me intrigued, and you know why I'll say this? Because it's funny, because every single time I end up doing things with people, electronic things don't work anymore. I have a bad habit of being able to. I'm one of those people that will walk under streetlights and watch them go out.
I'm going to try doing it.
Well, our show is still on as of now. So.
That is strange. Anyways, that is really weird. I've never encountered this before. I'm going to try it on my cell phone during this break.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
and see what happens. That is really weird. Okay, I got to try.
Weirdness abounds.
All right, we're taking a break right now, everybody. It's the bottom of the hour on Monster Castle Paranormal Radio. All right, and we have Seika from Port Colborne, Ontario, and she is just a fountain of knowledge. Wow. Historian, medium. Oh, man, we got to get into that. Your mediumship and stuff like that next, I think. I don't know.
We will.
But I'll just let you go. Whatever you want to talk about, it's great. Everything, I'm sucking it right up. It's great, baby. Yeah.
It's a good thing I can talk, huh?
Well, we can all talk, but, It's just if
Okay, so here's something really weird, guys. I'm trying to access it on my phone, and it's telling me the connection was just interrupted.
What?
And yep, and
Twitter?
but it's now let me in, but it literally said my connection was interrupted, and it would not let me in initially.
I think it's Elijah.
That's
Elijah.
Well, no, because I'm on.
from the
I mean,
spring.
I'm on my cell phone pulling up Twitter, so there shouldn't really be any weirdness there.
no. Okay.
Well, Twitter's
But
working.
apparently there was.
TweetDeck is done. It's shot.
Oh, it was working up till now, and that won't let me sign in. It just keeps going
I
back
do
to the sign-in
apologize
page.
for the
Okay.
the craziness that ensues when I.
We're going to break.
KTOK Digital Broadcasting Network.
You guys have a break. We'll figure this out.
Crop circles in the moonlight, meet us boys have been around. Show the girls a little good time, spinning tires in the soft ground. Crop circles round a campfire, we're gonna smolder a little grass. But watch out, Farmer Johnson's got salt shot to pepper you. Farmer Johnson's got a shotgun, running naked through a cornfield. Something came in the middle of the night, stole moonshine from his stick. There's burn marks in a circle, strange signs upon the ground. He thinks the aliens have touched down in our little town. We know. Crop circles in the moonlight, meet us boys have been around. Show the girls a little good time, spinning tires in the soft ground. Crop circles round a campfire, we're gonna smolder a little grass. But watch out, crazy Johnson's got salt shot to pepper you. Johnson took his hat off, open mic at the town hall. Said we're visitors sitting among us from somewhere beyond the stars. You'll know them cause they like trouble, they drink our beer, they like fun. I even seen them with the mayor's daughter, driving around in a local boy's truck. Oh, but we know. Crop circles in the moonlight, meet us boys have been around. Show the girls a little good time, spinning tires in the soft ground. Crop circles round a campfire, we gonna smolder a little grass. But watch out, crazy Johnson's got salt shot to pepper you. He says they're gonna beam us up, take us in our trucks. They're gonna beam us up, experiment on us. They're gonna beam us up, take us in our trucks. They're gonna beam us up, experiment on us. Crop circles in the moonlight, meet us boys have been around. Show your girls a little good time, spinning tires in the soft ground. Crop circles round a campfire, we're gonna smolder a little grass. But watch out, crazy Johnson's got salt shot to pepper you. Yeah, girls, we're gonna beam you up, take you in our trucks. Beam you up, experiment on love. We're gonna beam you up, take you in our trucks. We're gonna beam you up, experiment on love.
Beam us up, take us in your trucks. Beam us up, experiment on love. Beam us up, take us in your trucks. Beam us up, experiment
It's driving me nuts.
When the days are cold and the cards all fold and the saints we see are all made of gold, when your dreams all fail and the ones we hail are the worst of all and the bloods run stale, I wanna hide the truth, I wanna shelter you, but with the beast inside, there's nowhere we can hide. No matter what we breed, we still are made of greed. This is my kingdom come, this is my kingdom come. When you feel my heat, look into my eyes, it's where my demons hide, it's where my demons hide. Don't get too close, it's dark inside, it's where my demons hide, it's where my demons hide. Curtains call, it's the last of all. When the lights fade out, all the sinners crawl. So they dug your grave and the masquerade will come calling out at the mess you made. Don't wanna let you down, but I am hellbound. Oh, this is all for you. Don't wanna hide the truth. No matter what we breed, we still are made of greed. This is my kingdom come, this is my kingdom come. When you feel my heat, look into my eyes, it's where my demons hide, it's where my demons hide. Don't get too close, it's dark inside, it's where my demons hide, it's where my demons hide. They say it's what you make, I say it's up to fate, it's woven in my soul. I need to let you go, your eyes they shine so bright, I wanna save that light. I can't escape this now unless you show me how. When you feel my heat, look into my eyes, it's where my demons hide, it's where my demons hide. Don't get too close, it's dark inside, it's where my demons hide, it's where my demons hide.
We are back. All right. Can you
Who
dig
sings
it?
that?
Oh, that was Imagine Dragons.
Oh, yeah.
From I'm not sure where they're from. Imagine Dragons is Demons, and before that was Crop Circles by Dean Brody. Yeah. Did you guys figure out what's going on?
No.
Nope.
I haven't been
Skype
able
was
to.
acting up a little bit during the song, but it's pretty good for the most part.
I wasn't able to. I had to do some other things, just like just the normal bodily functions.
Well, I couldn't get Spreaker on earlier.
I'm going to check.
Now
right
TweetDeck
now.
is down. And my favorite porn site is not
So you
working
can't
either.
get TweetDeck either.
Oh, Jeff.
Okay.
Stop the
man.
presses.
Hey, there might be kids listening at 2 in the morning.
I hope not.
Yeah.
No, like word porn. You know, word porn.
Yeah.
There you go.
I thought you
Yeah,
said corn.
I get it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Word porn.
You
Like
guys
Shakespeare.
get your minds out of the gutter.
Okay.
Shakespeare. That's
Yeah,
word porn.
Wolfman. You dirty
Yeah,
bastard.
I'm a dirty bastard.
do
I'm
we
the
have dead air
Wolfman.
at
Can
all?
you dig it? I'm a dirty bastard. All right.
Oh, I'm sure we have dead air. Do you think we have dead air?
No, there's no dead air tonight. It's just dead people.
Dead people on air. Oh, wait, no.
Oh yeah, dead
Maybe.
people on the air. Oh
You
yeah.
never know.
Well, I think I heard something already tonight, and I know I heard something yesterday. So.
Seika, when did you start doing medium stuff?
Again, just, I don't know. It's been with me my whole life. I think when I first discovered I had the ability to do it, I was probably about 14, like to really understand what I was doing in a sense. In high school, it was great fun because I used it as a party game. You know, you go to hang out and, you know, do party stuff. And and I used to be able to tell them things that they were thinking or, you know, not necessarily thinking, but, you know, just interesting little things. And it became sort of a party game. We'd go to parties and people would go, oh, hey, tell me what I'm thinking, or, you know, things like that. And I just remember one instance, actually, I was at a party and a friend of mine and her sister and my friend's boyfriend and a bunch of us are at the party, and my friend just, I don't know, she just felt the need to, you know, go, tell me what my boyfriend's thinking right now. And I was like, oh, gee, no. I had to kind of, you know, play the, I can't do it right now, I'm tired. But it was because boyfriend and sister were hooking up, and it was... It's like, I'm not going there. I'm not telling you that information. But I don't know. I mean, I just say, like, it's just always kind of been there. So I didn't really understand it until I was a teenager. And even then, I really didn't have a full grasp on it. I think I really started to understand it and pay attention to it when I had a spirit, for the lack of better words, spend about 10 years with me. And it was just one of those things that actually it became an episode on Paranormal Survivor. So, you know.
Was it a spirit guide?
Oh, yeah. That's right. You mentioned that you were on Paranormal Survivor. So that was the story?
I was.
Okay,
that was
groovy.
The story, yes. The story of Lenny. Now, in truth, they kind of got it a little wonky and, you know, twisted it to their own benefit. But most of the story got out there. Yes, it was, I just happened to pick up this friend. I don't know how friendly it was initially, but, and I'm still not 100% sure where I picked it up, but at the time I was seeing somebody and we were spending a lot of time at a friend of his uncle's antique shop, and I bought a couple of things from the store, and after I brought these things home, things started happening, and it wasn't anything, you know, incredibly frightening initially, but it was a lot of odd little noises and things, and then, you know, just kind of escalated from there, and I won't get into the whole, you know, 10 years worth, but there was a lot of things that went on. But at the same time, I sort of ignored it, because once you start living with something like that, after a while, you just kind of have to go, okay, enough, I'm not paying attention to you anymore.
Can you at least tell us what you've learned from
Hang on a sec. Before that, I got some breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Breaking news. I've got Twitter to work on my phone.
Yeah.
So, but I don't have TweetDeck, but the Twitter does work.
There you go. Da-da. So at least that part is working. But what were you asking? You were asking a question?
2 questions.
Somebody was asking me a question.
Your spirit guide, and what did you learn about Lenny? Was it Lenny?
Yeah, Lenny. Well, interestingly enough, I really didn't learn anything about Lenny at that time in my life because I just didn't understand it per se. It just seemed to go with me when I moved. I moved 3 times over 10 years, and my oldest son was about, well, I mean, it literally happened around the time I was pregnant with my oldest son, and I was married and to my first husband, and a lot of things were going on in our lives then, and moving and doing things. And as my son got a little older, he was the one that gave, I don't know, he's the one that told me his name was Lenny. He was about 4 or 5, and he's like, Mom, Lenny's here again. And he would physically see Lenny. I didn't physically see him. And my husband at the time, he was in a band, and one of the guys had come over and come to the house and gone. When he came in the house, he was coming in the front door, and then to the left there was a set of stairs that went down. And in the living room, he could sort of shoot over and look into the living room. And he thought he saw my husband at the time's dad sitting in the chair. So he's like, hey, Mr. B. And he walks down the stairs, and in the room he comes. And he goes, oh, hey, I saw your dad upstairs. And we're thinking, what are you talking about? Like, his dad's not here. And so he says, well, I saw this guy upstairs with a white shirt and a pair of black pants with suspenders. And we're like, okay. And then a lot of weird stuff started happening after that in the house and a lot of strange things. But over the years, I had a couple of other friends who were mediums, and they were like, oh, you know, there's this thing attached to you, this spirit. And my one friend told me that he was an Irish guy who worked on the railroad, and he smelled like tobacco and opium. And I'm like, great. Awesome. I have some crazy Irish guy following me around. So, you know, and it just kind of went like that. And then finally I had somebody come and do like you would do, Wolfman come in and just do a big good cleanse on the property and on myself. And I thought, and I hadn't really felt him for a long time. And then a couple of years ago, another medium friend of mine said, oh, you know, you got this Irish guy that's sort of attached to you. And I'm like, okay.
I think you're really groovy. I love you a lot. You're groovy.
And that was a different medium altogether that said the same thing?
He's not gone, but, so just, I've had experiences like that off and on. And as far as just really toning in on my ability, I just work with it as much as I can now, just to understand it. And, you know, that's why I love to do investigations. I love to go into places, and I don't want to know. And I'm very strict about that when people ask me to come in. I'm like, okay, but I don't want to know anything about the location. I don't want you to tell me the stories. I don't want to know anything, people's name, nothing. Because for me, if you tell me all that ahead of time, what's to say I'm not making it up in my head? You know what I mean? It's like, if I don't know anything, then what comes out of my mouth is going to either be truth of what I'm experiencing and not something I heard and then I think I'm experiencing, if that makes any sense.
I guess so. What does it feel like when you're doing a real reading and you know it's the real deal?
Like if I'm sitting down with somebody and I'm doing a reading for them? That kind of reading? Or, you know what? It feels very much the same as I would being on an investigation. I'm not giving this information. This information is just being channeled through me. So if that person has a person who wants to speak to them, they put it through me. So when it's not like I'm in a trance or I'm doing anything like that. I don't get into that kind of stuff. For me, it's just essentially it's as if you were sitting beside me and talking in my ear, and then I was passing it on to somebody else. That's pretty much how I get it. So it's as if someone was just in my ear talking, telling me, you know, something about themselves, and then they want me to pass that information on to the person that I'm with. And I can't make that kind of stuff up because I don't know these people that come to me.
Do you always get something? Or have you ever sat down and just said, nothing's happening?
Yeah, I've had times where nobody's come, for sure. You know, and I'll tell people that. Like, I'll tell them that, you know, it's like I can't guarantee.
There is nothing happening. It's all in your head. It's something you're going through. It's a phase you'll go through because of your stress level, and you're hallucinating. It's all in your head.
And that's exactly it. But no, I do have cases where, for sure, people will come and there's nothing to be said. And, you know, I mean, obviously I just tell them, sorry, you know, there's nothing coming through at this time. And then I'll have times where things will come and visit me and they'll be very, very, you know, in my face.
Okay, I got breaking news again. In your face,
you know, tell people. In my face, in my face.
I got another breaking news here. Now I have just gained back access to the chat room in Spreaker, which was actually freezing up on me.
There you go.
Yeah, but I do still have access to Twitter in my phone. But there is weird things going on here. Just an update. Okay.
Weird things are going on.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm just letting you know.
I have been accused of, as I said in the past, I have been accused of creating weird things.
There you go. But I do still have access to Twitter in my phone. But there is weird things. What the heck was that? I didn't do
Some
that.
weird things going on.
It wasn't me. I didn't do that.
Did you hear like a repeat of the show?
Yeah, it was not
That's
me.
my fault.
Yes,
I
turn
honestly-
your device off, please.
Okay, Art. Art, I will do so.
That's it.
Sorry.
Turn
He's
the
messing up.
volume down.
Don't tell me that Art Bell's trying to mess up my show again. Last time, we don't know who did it, but somebody
I will turn my
actually did
device down.
put a
What-
bot in the server
Seika,
of my
As I
network.
said, stepping away from yeah.
It's driving
Seika,
me nuts.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Art. What do you
Let's
think
just
of the
walk
Long
away.
Island
Just
medium?
walk away.
Who's leaving?
Teresa Caputo.
Oh, Teresa. Well, you know, what do I think of her? A lot of people ask me that, and I can completely relate to Teresa Caputo. I know a lot of people think she's a fraud. A lot of people think anytime we are able to do this that it's fraudulent. I have never met her in person, but the way that she processes information and the way that she gives it out is very similar to how I receive it. So if she's a fraud, she's really good at what she does. I do feel that she has an ability. So as I said, I've never met her in person, so I cannot, stand in front of her and go, hey, but from the way that she approaches things and the information that she gives out. Now, being a television show, I mean, a lot of things go on behind the scenes, but I do feel that she's pretty genuine in her process and the information that she hands out. I could be wrong, but it comes to her the same way it comes to me.
Yes. Hello. Hey, it's Igor. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, it's Igor.
I agree. You can tell in her face that she's getting information. She'll start biting her lip.
Did you?
I think, I think she's amazing.
Like I say,
Although
when we
I'm sure she
receive
added a lot of stuff
information,
that's wrong.
it's very difficult for us, people like myself, to explain to other people how it happens, because I've been asked that question many times over and over. It's like, well, why can you do that? How do you do it? I have no idea why I can do it or how I can do it. I can just do it. I cannot explain to you. I don't have a particular process that I have to do. I don't have to do 3 hours of meditation or, call on the gods or whatever. It just happens to me.
Okay.
And
what's it feel like when it happens?
It depends on the instance. It depends on the person coming through and the information that they want to give out. Sometimes it's very physical, so sometimes I will feel what that person felt or what that person, as I said, like with Mary Schofield, I truly felt in my head that I was like batshit crazy. And that's, not a nice thing to say about her, but she was clearly suffering from, I believe, like dementia or some like mental illness, that she was incredibly manic. And so I felt that entire process, how she felt, how she couldn't think clearly and just felt very paranoid and very afraid. I've had instances where I felt like I've been shot in the chest, I've been hit in the head, so it really just manifests itself. I've had people come to me who have had heart conditions. I mean, they passed on, but I can tell that that's what they passed from, or other illnesses. Or I had a young girl. I will say young girl. She was like early 20s, and her brother come to see me and sat down in front of me, and they brought an article of their mother's clothes, and she said, "Do you want to hold this?" I'm like, "No, I don't. I don't need to." Her mother was there with me already, and the weird thing was, in my peripheral vision, I could see that this woman, she was wet, and she was wearing a pink sweater, and her hair was wet, and I said to them, okay, I'm going to say this to you, and I said, I don't know what it means, but this is what I'm seeing. I said, I see this little woman. She's about 5'3", and she looks like she weighs about 95 pounds, and she's soaking wet, and she's wearing a pink sweater. And at that point, the girl just broke down in tears and started crying. And I was like, I'm so sorry, because sometimes you just don't know how people are going to react. And her brother was like, it's okay. And I'm like, okay. And I said, but this woman is telling me it's okay and it's not your fault. And for them, that was a huge relief because apparently their mother had walked into Burlington Bay in Lake Ontario and committed suicide and drowned herself. And that was the vision that she had come to me, and that's what I could see. And so there was really no words other than it's okay, it's not your fault. That's all that was said. And I could see her, but it was the description of her that obviously resonated with them because I didn't know who they were. Like, I didn't know these people. I didn't know what their story was. I didn't know why they were coming to me. They just came to me. And so these kinds of things, I just feel like, it's every single experience is different, but it can be overwhelming. It can be very emotional, and I've learned to shut it off in between. I don't allow the peripheral noise into my life unless I'm particularly channeling that. Otherwise, I have to shut it off because I would go crazy myself with. I'd be inundated with it, I'm sure.
Suicide?
What's that?
Was she wearing a pink sweater when she committed suicide?
Yes. Everything that I described was exactly how they found her in the lake.
So you probably remember like the kind of the traumatic stuff a little bit more than just the normal stuff.
Well, I can be truthful. Most of the stuff I get tends to be traumatic.
Really?
I've had a couple of times where I've channeled children, and the children have, met untimely demises. So while the children seem very happy in their persona, they met an end in a somewhat, not pleasant way. One had fallen out of a window and another one had gotten hit by a car. And, and I had one party one night, and this was a test of my ability even for myself, because sometimes when this stuff happens to me, I have to think in my head, like, am I making this stuff up or what? Like, but I can't because I don't know these people. It's not like it's a good friend of mine and I know their whole life story. These are people I don't know. I don't know their lives. I know nothing about them. But I got sent to a party in Toronto. I was filling in for a friend of mine who's a medium, and she's like, I can't make it. I'm overbooked. Can you go do this party? And I'm like, okay. So I thought, well, I'm going to go to the party and do some readings. Like, you sit down and with somebody one-on-one and you do a little reading or something.
Oh, yeah. Like,
well, when I got,
we all do that. Yeah, me too. Yeah. Jeff does it. Jared does it. And even probably a-hole skeptic on hashtag DM Talk does it too.
Right.
He sits down and does little
some people will go and
people
sit down and do
in the park. Yeah, that's right. We all do that. Everybody.
We all do it, right? And so anyway, I got sent to this party, and I wasn't really sure what to expect. I was just told there was going to be a bunch of women there, and so I was thinking, it's like a girls' night out, so we're going to have a laugh and we're going to do some little readings or something, right? Well, it ended up that I got into this place, and on my way there, my husband was actually driving me into Toronto. I got, I don't know, maybe 10 blocks from the place, and I had the worst pain in my stomach and in my chest, and I just felt horrible and nauseous, and I was like, what the heck, right? And I got to the party, and I introduced myself, and we all sat down at this table in the dining room, and there was myself and I believe about 8 other women, and I just sat down, and I was like, okay, why am I here? I'm thinking, okay, so they're all sitting around, they're having wine, and they're having we're talking. And then all of a sudden, it just happened. It was like instantaneously, this person appeared. Well, she didn't appear, but she appeared to me. And she was sitting literally right, like, beside me and just giving me all this information. And, I was pointing at people at the table.
Slow down, hang on. Did anyone else see that?
No, and that's what I'm saying. It's not like it's a physical, like a manifestation. It's just for me, when they show up, I can see them in my peripheral vision. So I can either see them on the right-hand side or the left-hand side. And what side I see them on, I've now discovered, kind of tells me what's happened to them. It's a weird thing. It's like if I start getting people on my right-hand side, I know they died from natural causes. If I see people on my left-hand side, it's usually been some traumatic, like a car accident or something like that. So it's almost weird now that my
It's something more
ability
I find it really interesting
yeah.
that you said that.
has
because,
allowed me to divide,
Seika,
you know, who these people are.
Hang on. Let me. You keep jumping from topic to topic and not letting me add
Not
anything
really.
to it. Yeah.
Go
Well,
ahead.
yeah. You're just okay. Just with what you said there.
Great. What are you talking about?
Before you move on,
Man.
it's funny, but I have to say that I have the same experience with it out of the corner of my eyes and my peripheral.
Right.
Most of my sightings, and I see a movement. Sometimes it goes into my main view. It does happen, but usually it starts in my peripheral vision, and I agree totally with you. And I've heard that from other people too. What about you
Yeah,
guys? Have you ever
I
heard
have
that?
as well, but yes,
Anybody
that's where
else?
I
Have you
tend
heard
to
that
see
before?
them.
You guys, Jeff, Darren, have you heard that before as well?
No, I'm hearing it tonight for the first time.
Okay.
Peripheral vision.
Also,
Right, it's like they're just kind of enough at the side that you can just faintly, like you can see them, but they're not right in front of your face.
can you see auras?
You know what? I don't particularly see auras. I have seen them on occasion, but it's not something that I see as a regular occurrence for me.
Okay.
Seika, what's the most information you ever got from a spirit on the other side that gave people comfort?
To give them comfort? You know what? I find sometimes I'm not necessarily sure that they're coming to give comfort. I think they're coming to close their own story. Sometimes, you know, it's. I don't often get messages where people go, "It's okay, I'm fine." I don't get that a lot. What I get is a lot of, "Ooh, hey, what the heck was that?"
I think it just means you had the right answer, or it might have been Sabrina the Witch. That could be Sabrina the Witch.
I won something?
I think so. Yeah, that was the right answer. So yes, you definitely won
There
something.
you go. Boo, boo, boo.
Yeah, you
I won
definitely won.
something.
And
Hey,
also, it's
but
signaling
yeah, no,
us.
I find
Seika,
that I'm not. I don't find that my
Seika, can
people come for that.
can you tell the audience that we're at the top of the hour and we're gonna come right back and we're having a show.
All right. Apparently, we talk a lot, and we're at the top of the hour, so we're going to take another break, and then we'll be back.
Unless you don't want to. If nobody needs a break,
Hey, I
I'll
didn't
just
say
keep.
that.
We can. All right.
I don't need a break. I'm good. But hey,
Oh, I got a really cool selection here. I think everyone's want to rock with the Wolfman. Sometimes they want to rock
there
with
you
the
go.
Wolfman. All right. So we want to rock. And I'm thinking I'm going down to the dungeon. And I'm going to pull out Dracula. Yeah.
Try and hide in the
During the days, my friend, but when the
He's Dracula. Not everything that glitters is gold. Don't trust no one. Don't even trust yourself. I'm here go say now. Dracula. Like a human being, he eats like everybody does. Yeah. But deep down in his heart, he knows his bad news. Yeah. His eyes shine wildfire. His heart is cold as ice. No.
Zombie. Enter. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. It's gonna be a zombie. It's something about a zombie in the yeah. The zombie jamboree. Yeah.
Back to back, belly to belly. I don't give a damn 'cause I've done that already. Back to back, belly to belly at the zombie jamboree.
Zombie Jamboree took place in a New York cemetery. The Zombie Jamboree took place in Long Island Cemetery. Zombies from all parts of the island. Some of them are great Californian. Since the season was carnival, they got together in Bacchanal and they're singing back to back, belly to belly. I don't give a damn 'cause I've done that already. Back to back, belly to belly at the Zombie Jamboree. I hear the chorus. Back to back, belly to belly. I don't give a damn 'cause I've done that already. Back to back, belly to belly at the Zombie Jamboree. One female zombie won't behave. She says she want me for a slave. In one hand she holding a quart of wine. The other hand she point that you'll be mine. Believe me folks, yes I had to run. The husband of a zombie ain't no fun. I say, oh no, my turtle dove. An old bag of bones I cannot love. And what she crying? Back to back, belly to belly. I don't give a damn cause I done that already. Back to back, belly to belly. And the zombie jamboree. I hear the chorus. Back to back, belly to belly. I don't give a damn cause I done that already. Back to back, belly to belly. And the zombie jamboree. Right then and there she raised her feet. I'm going to get you now, my sweet. I'll make you call me sweetie pie. I said not me, get back, you lie. She said I might be lying, but you will see. After you kiss this dead zombie, I never seen such horror in all my life. Can you imagine me with a zombie wife? And what she singing? Back to back, belly to belly. I don't give a damn cause I done that already. Back to back, belly to belly. And the zombie jamboree. I hear the chorus. Back to back, belly to belly. I don't give a damn cause I done that already. Back to back, belly to belly. And the zombie jamboree.
Yeah. Everybody sing along. Yeah. Sing along. Dig it. Back to back. Yeah. Zombie jamboree. All right. We are back.
That's awesome.
Man, I'm having fun tonight.
It's a fun
Good music,
song.
man.
Yeah, I didn't even put too many commercials on there tonight.
Wow. Well, I got a few questions here.
All right.
I don't know, Seika. What, like, have you had like a really long reading where you learned a lot from somebody? Something that sticks out?
As in somebody who's gone to the other side, or somebody who's in front of me?
Yeah, something where you got like a lot of information and
oh yeah, I've had a lot, like quite a number of those. So, yeah, I mean, I can tell you, I've had a number of experiences like that where and it's sometimes gone over multiple days, not just the day I'm doing the reading. So I've had, visitations, if you may, from people sometimes beforehand, or even sometimes after the fact, and then I've had to recontact that person that's come to see me to give them further information. So
oh wow,
it does happen.
So you get like information after the fact when they're not around.
Yeah, they don't have to be with me. Like once that connection is there, and that's the funny thing. Like here, like a little short, brief story, because it's not a short, brief story, but I'll make it a very short, brief story. Had a seance per se. Had a gentleman come through, and at the time I had said to the people that were in the room, do any of you know this man? He is about 6'2", heavy Scottish accent, slightly balding, and he's talking about a ring. Nobody really clued in at the time, and I'm like, okay, whatever the case may be. And my friend who was with me, who was a medium, she had picked up on something else, and she had said, oh, there's a child in the room. And I was like, right, he's connected to this man. And she's like, yeah, he's sitting in a chair. So we were kind of getting this information together. But they still hadn't really connected. And the night progressed, and the seance was over, and people went home. And we had a lot of other good information that night. But the next day, I was at work, and I had a shop at the time called the Spiritorium, so we sold oddities and a lot of things like that, and I used to do readings and things in the shop. So the person that had visited, the Scottish gentleman, entity, spirit, he came back the next day, and he was nagging me. He was like, he was upset, and he was kind of angry, and I said, look, I don't know who it is that you're trying to connect with, because nobody, identified. And of course, I'm not saying this out loud, I'm just saying it in my head. It's like, look, you're going to have to get them to contact me, because I don't know who they are. And that day, this woman calls, and she's like, it's funny, I was at the seance, and I was talking to my sister, and I was telling her about this man named Eddie or Ed, and and the ring and everything. And she said, "My God, you know what? That's bad." And this woman phones me out of the blue, comes to see me, and we sit down. And as soon as she comes, he starts, he's banging his hand, and I'm banging my hand on the table, and I'm like, "God damn it, I care. And I'm like, okay. And then the story comes forward. I'm like, well, I see this man, and he's lying in a hospital bed. And I said, I can see somebody come into the room, and they want to sit in the chair, but he's telling them don't sit there because there's a little boy in the chair. And she's like, oh my God, that's my dad. And that's what happened when I came to the hospital to see him. I went to sit in the chair, and he told me, don't sit there. Can't you see there's a little boy sitting in the chair? And he was ill at the time, and I guess passing on. And so anyways, this whole thing with the ring, and I had asked her about the ring. I said, well, he keeps talking about this ring, and it's like a signet ring with I can see it. It's like a gold ring, like a man's ring with an initial in the middle. And he keeps talking about Eddie, and who's this Eddie person? And she's like, Eddie, and I don't know an Eddie. And then I'm like, well, he keeps referring to her as a woman. It's a her, and she doesn't understand, and he's upset because they got in a fight, and she's like, oh my God, it's my stepmom, and her name was Edwina, and he called her Eddie. And apparently just a few days before he died, they'd gotten some big fight because she had this signet ring that I guess was his father's, and he wanted her to give it to somebody particular, and she hadn't done it. So there was this big drama anyways, and it literally played out for me for like 3 days. Because this guy would not go away, this spirit, he just kept coming back, and he was like, until he had every last piece of information out, but it was funny because I didn't initially know who he wanted it to go to, so that does happen.
Well, did you ever get like woken up out of your sleep or have dreams from this?
I occasionally have things happen in my sleep, like I have very lucid dreams. So sometimes it does pertain to things that I find out either, like coming and I'm not talking about predicting the future. It's just, if I might run into somebody and they say something, and then that piece of information, or it's a relative of theirs. Actually, I have a good friend of mine whose father came to me. That's what I was saying about the in your face. He came to me. This was just shortly after we had met them. And he was like, literally, I was ready to go to sleep, and I was lying in bed, and I was half, you're in that sort of right before you pass out into deep sleep.
Right.
And there was a guy right in my face.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you say you ran into somebody? Oh, that must have hurt. Jeez.
Not like that.
Okay.
But he was like literally right in my face. I could see him, and he looked, it was funny because to me he looked like Archie Bunker. And he kept saying, Peter, 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 Peter. And I'm like, what the heck is Peter? And he said he was mad because of, again, a ring. And I'm like, well, what's this thing with the ring and, going on? But it was really funny because I knew who he was. So the next day when I texted my friend and I said, hey, your dad was here. And he's like, what are you talking about? I said, he just showed up before I was going to sleep and started yelling at me about some guy named Peter and a ring. And he's like, oh, my God. And apparently, there's the story. I don't want to be too personal because it is a friend of mine, but there was a ring given to somebody, and it shouldn't have been, and it should have been his, and his father was upset, and so apparently he came to just let me know that he was still pissed off.
I wonder if this ever happened to you. Have you ever woken up and just from music that was coming from nowhere? Have you ever had
my
that
God,
happen?
I get that all the time. And it's not even waking up. It's like I will be sitting, like I say that to my husband. I'm like,
hey,
can you
wait
hear
a minute.
that?
Let's ask Jeff that.
Can you hear
back
that?
at you, Jeff. Have you ever heard that?
Last week, man, it happened. I swear to God, I was just laying there and music out of nowhere.
Okay. Yeah, I've had it too.
That's why I had to ask it.
I get it.
Okay,
frequently.
I have it too. And I wasn't surprised that I just wondered about you because I'd never expected you to say that.
Yeah, he's the science guy. No.
Yeah, so that blows my mind that you heard it too. Wow.
I mean, I get up and I'm looking around, and I'm like,
there's nothing.
It's coming from where I was laying down.
Dude,
that's where it's coming from. It
that
wasn't coming from anywhere else. That's where
woods,
it was loudest.
Way in the boonies. In the middle of nowhere where there's no houses around, no cars around, nothing. And I've heard that. Music.
Yep, and I get it a lot. Like, I'll just be sitting and like my husband will be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Can't you hear it? Like, I can hear this music, right?" And it's sometimes it's like almost way off in the distance kind of sounding, and it can be very different sounding. Like, sometimes I hear what I think is classical music, or other times I hear like like a beat and it's like a dance number or whatever.
Yeah, I know.
But it's never the same.
I hear whale sounds. Whale
Oh,
music.
do you?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm putting some on right now so you can hear. This is similar to what I actually hear. This is the closest thing I could find to that. It sounds like what I hear. Yeah, like that.
Well, you know what I find interesting though is that, again, music is energy and it resonates throughout. Sound waves carry. So it doesn't. It's sometimes it's just like, are we hearing this from somewhere else? Is this just out there? It's not like I'm hearing my neighbor's radio or something. Because actually, I live beside a river and I hear seagulls and ducks.
Oh, wow. What about anything from the sky? Have you heard anything those strange sounds that come from the sky? I've heard them twice.
I weirdly hear a lot of stuff, and again, I don't even question it anymore because it's there. I hear it. I can't explain it. I've given up on trying to figure out what things are sometimes that I do hear. I've heard things that sound like sonic booms and nobody else hears them. And I'm like, really? You don't hear that? Like, it's like a frickin' bomb went off.
There's been all kinds of reports of that lately all around the world, but some of it's been recorded even.
Yes,
they
yes,
had
it
one
has.
here,
I know in Windsor there was a
2 days
bunch
ago.
of them not too long ago.
Jeff?
Yeah, we had one here in Phoenix like 2 days ago. Lots of reports.
Freaky, eh?
That is.
Yep.
It's I mean, here's the thing that we don't, we know nothing in the grand scheme of things. I mean, we really don't. We don't know how our brains work. We don't know what's out there. And we don't know how so many things happen in nature, as I'm putting quotation marks around that. We are really out of touch with our environment for the most part. I think most people are. And when you hear stories of like my husband now, he's First Nations and French. So when he talks about, stories from his family and the Les Sauvages, and because they're from Quebec, and it's, you have to wonder that some of these stories, and here's something that I'm going to throw this out here because this is a very vivid memory for me, and it's something that happened to me. I was about 12 years old. I grew up in a very rural farming community. It was lots of little wood lots and creeks and things, and as kids we ran around and played and all these things I never recall.
That means,
I was sitting.
Man, you're going to have to save that. Oh, yeah, we're coming to the bottom of the hour. Oh, we got a little time. You can finish, actually. There's still 5 minutes. Sorry.
Okay.
What,
no, I was just saying, quickly.
Okay.
Yeah. Was that Skype or was that that was cool.
Oh, we're hearing noises now.
Well, there's all kinds of noises in the castle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but also the chat room wants us to open the lines, and they're requesting that you give readings.
Oh, hey. That's good. I have no visual,
can you do
but I
readings
can
on
do
the
it.
fly?
What's that?
Yeah, after this break, if it's okay with you, I'm going to open the lines up and let people call in if they want a reading.
All right. Sure.
All right.
Sounds like fun.
Okay.
I'm up for a challenge.
Because we got a half hour left, so we got to do it in the last half hour for sure, man. If there's people,
How much longer till the break?
5 minutes.
Okay, I got a question. So we got about 5 minutes to answer. Have you ever, Seika, have you ever like solved like a crime or a mystery, something that, something significant?
Well, no. And I say, well, no, because I not for any like police entity
No,
or
no.
anything.
Well, okay,
I mean,
then what about
the
something that someone
the
was
Mary
really curious
Schofield
wanted to
story
know,
was
and
somewhat of
you were
a-
able to figure it out?
Mm-hmm. You know, that was an interesting, like the Mary Schofield story, just on that one, because she kept saying, "Find me, find me." And after I'd done all my research, I'd gone to the archives, and I had indeed found her family and found the family tree, and her name was missing from it. So we proceeded to enter her name into the family tree. Her name was there. It was actually, she was the third wife of Adam Schofield, but it was like a question mark and then a wife. So we filled that blank in. So yeah, I guess that's significant in the terms of a family tree for somebody. This is in the archives in Port Colborne. So that was some information that was missing from that record. So something like that, but I've never done anything for police or anything like that. So, you know, I might if I was asked. I've just never been asked.
Did she have any children?
Mary Schofield, no. She was a third wife, and I believe she didn't marry him until she was in her 40s. So there were no children from her. So she was, you know,
Seika?
I guess she was just more of a companion.
Seika?
Yes.
What's your favorite investigation you've ever been on?
My favorite investigation, probably the house I did, the haunted B&B in Niagara Falls. That one was a ton of fun and got some really, really compelling results.
Can you tell us about it before the break?
What do I got, like a minute?
You can always push it a little bit.
Yeah, okay, so I went to do an investigation at a B&B in Niagara Falls and was invited by a friend. We went in, again, didn't want to know much about the property, just showed up and did my thing, went through the house, got a number of different variants in the house, came across a few spirits, some names, things that the owner of the house was aware of already, which was great because they were able to confirm those for me. But the interesting thing was in the second half, I had an entire experience of, again, a War of 1812 moment where some soldier had come through and was there before the house even existed. So I was giving details of what the property, what the land was like, what was happening, his name, what had happened in his life, which was interesting, and we kind of I went through that series of details with everybody that was there. There was like 30 people, and we took that all, and we went and did some research and found out that everything that I had indeed received was verifiable and indeed in records. So I love when that kind of stuff comes up.
Do you remember his name?
Oh yeah. Michael Greenlee. Michael Greenlee was the gentleman's name.
He was British again?
No, he's American.
American.
He was American. American soldier who fought in the War of 1812 at Lundy's Lane. He did not die in Lundy's Lane. He actually went back to Pennsylvania and raised his family, but I think it was the incident of what had happened around that. So he had the things that had come up was essentially the name James, Indians 7, 12, murder, killed. There was all kinds of things he kept saying to me over and over and over again. And at one point I couldn't get him to speak, so I asked my husband to speak to him because he was in the armed forces before, and so he was a little, and he was a male. So when you're thinking of 1812 and women prodding, men for answers, they don't like to talk. So I sort of fed my questions through my husband so that we could get some details. But he did give us all that information, and when I found the genealogy for the Greenlee family, they had come from England, landed in Virginia, been in Virginia for a while. Some of the family had moved, and Michael Greenlee had moved to Pennsylvania with his father. His father was killed by Indians, and he went to live with his Uncle James. And so all of that had come out in the whole incident. And then, we were able to verify it.
When you get a name and then you can confirm it? I mean, does that just make it 100% sure in your mind that it's all real?
Darren, we're at the bottom of the hour, sir.
Yes, for sure. I mean, that for me, when you can validate information that you did not have before, names of people that you did not know, yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can
I
imagine.
don't think you can make that stuff up.
No, you can't. And we
No.
are at the bottom of the hour, everyone. Thanks for listening. We're taking another short break like we always do, and I'm going to give you some really cool stuff from the Wolfman and the Monster Castle. And this is our new compilation here, sent from Darren. What are the gentlemen who made this? Can you introduce them and let everyone know who made this?
This is Boudreaux and James.
That's right, Boudreaux and James. Thank you. Thank you,
The
guys.
beginning of this is from Tron.
This is awesome.
You seen ghosts? You talk about them. Aliens, you talk about them. Are you kidding me, Wolfman? You literally had ghosts going on a ghost box. But you're going to lose a lot of credibility. Lake Monster gobble you up in one fucking bite. I'm calling you out, my friend. You were scared of the girl from Texas. Well, I sure wouldn't be sitting there admiring the rippling glistening fucking muscles of the fucking marsupial. She was hairier than this ass punch. Oh my goodness. Who in the world are you? Hollering like that. Angry as blood. Do your neighbors hear you? You must live in the forest for you to yell that loud.
The Monster Castle. Paranormal Radio.
Witnesses have described it as not quite right.
Right. The Wolfman.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
I'm only over here because I heard your sweet fucking voice on the phone.
They say that heaven is like TV, a perfect little world that doesn't really need you, and everything there is made of light, and the days keep going by.
This is
Here they come.
Laurie Anderson, Strange Angels, Monster Castle Paranormal.
Here they come. It was one of those days, larger than life, when your friends came to dinner and they stayed the night. And then they cleaned out the refrigerator, they ate everything in sight. And then they stayed on in the living room, and they cried all night. Strange angels singing just for me, old stories haunting me. This is nothing like I thought it would be. Well, I was at my photo with the top down, and I looked in there, millions of tiny teardrops just sort of hanging, and I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. And I said to myself, what next, big sky? Strange angels singing just for me. Their spare change falls on top of me. Rain falling all over me, all over me. Strange angels singing just for me. Old stories haunting me. Big changes are coming, here they come. Here they come.
second here. We're back. All right. We are back on the air. But I'm going to do one more thing. Okay, yeah. Where were we?
Seika was...
I don't know. Where were we? We were somewhere in the peripheral.
Yeah.
We were talking about live readings.
Oh.
We were mentioning
that's right. No,
readings.
we were opening up the phone lines. Anyone who wants to phone in, it's 775-990-8447. I'm going to repeat that. Get a pen out. 775-990-8447. That's 8447. And or
There's
you
that
can
47 again.
Yeah, or you can but that was done on purpose. I got to pick the number. I picked it out of a list, and I picked the one that ended in 47 on purpose.
There you go.
That time, but you can also get a hold of us on Skype, and you just search Wolfman Mike 47, and you'll find that all one word, Wolfman Mike 47.
I have a question for Seika.
What is that?
When you were doing your archaeology and combined with all the spiritual stuff, did you ever find a lost history? Something that we didn't know about?
Yeah. Well, no. And I'll say no because the sites that I'm on are so well documented that... I mean, I've had experiences. So, like I mentioned, the one about Chalmette Battlefield. So that was a very detailed experience, and I mean, I only touched on a little bit of it there. I could be very descriptive, and I could write down all of the details and all the things that I saw and everything that I did, which is probably going to be pieces that would never have been known otherwise. So, in that kind of case, I guess yes. But in terms of, happening across something that, maybe we hadn't discovered before, no, because I'm on sites that are already discovered.
What is the single best item you ever found in the field as an archaeologist?
Bones, of course, bodies. Those are, as an archaeologist, those are our most compelling finds, really. I mean, for me, I love finding jewelry and pieces of artifacts like clothing or buttons and things like that. But really, when you are able to touch somebody's bones, it's an entirely different experience.
I've touched a lot of bones.
Yes, Jeff has.
Well, hey, I'm not going there.
A lot in common.
Oh, no. I mean, real.
I'm kidding. Right. But when you find them in the ground and you're able to, to reconnect with that person after that amount of time, for myself, that's something that I can't explain. It's just something that the experience of it, they were people.
And it opens up like a portal.
They were alive
for you.
Okay, if no one's phoning in, I want to know what happened on Storage Wars. You were on Storage Wars before, because we got 20 minutes left.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I did. On Storage Wars Canada, I was brought in as a Victorian expert for the macabres. So whenever they would go into their storage units and find artifacts and different things, if they were finding something in that vein, then they would bring it to me, and I would assess it, give them a value, tell them what the objects were, things like that. So, I mean, they came to me for specific things. They had experts my husband was actually an expert on the show as well for all things like shamanic and First Nations and things like anything that had to do with ritual and so voodoo, all those kinds of things.
Here. We got to get him on here next.
Yeah, and he's an interesting guy too.
I'd love to have him on. That'd be a great guest too. It sounds like your husband
We're
is
the power couple of paranormal.
Wow.
But yeah, no, I mean, I enjoy doing those shows. I really do. I get to see a lot of interesting things that people find, and it's amazing what people find in boxes in old storage units. Quite frankly, I've had some pretty insane things come
I'm
to me, and
I'm feeling some energy towards Darren, and I agree with the chat room. I think you should try to read Darren if you can. There's something you have to
I
tell
should try to read Darren. Darren hasn't said anything.
I'm feeling it.
Darren's there.
I've asked questions.
No, you wanted to read it. You did express interest
Hello,
in getting
Darren.
a
Are
reading.
you out there?
I'm here. I'm still here.
I think Darren
There he
needs
is.
a reading.
I know.
Someone's telling me he needs a reading, and so did Autumn, and she's
do you
also
need
psychic.
do you need a reading, Darren?
I could use a reading if you can connect with anybody in my that has passed away in my family.
You know what'll happen? I'll be twittering over there and tweeting Wolfman 2 days from now, because that's when it's going to come through.
Yeah, that's what happened to Autumn. Autumn did a reading for me last weekend or 2 weeks ago. It was the best I've never had anything like it. She totally
That's cool.
nailed everything, and I was just like blown away.
I don't know why,
About
Autumn,
my
you
father.
don't just phone in right now. We'd love to have you on, and you could say hi to our guest. I think you two would really get along.
I know.
Yeah, I like
know.
meeting other people who can do things. But like I said, I find for me the way that I do my readings, I don't mind doing readings over the phone, but I really do like a person in front of me so that I can read their energy. But I also it doesn't preclude that Darren, like I said, 2 days from now. So from
Well,
your,
let me know if you get anything.
Your peripheral will not come
Autumn
through
needs
and
a
go,
picture.
hey.
She always needs a picture.
Oh,
Yeah,
by the
she
way,
gets the pictures.
TweetDeck is now up and running again.
Hey, TweetDeck.
It sounds. Oh, we got a caller.
Yay, a caller.
Oh, caller, you are live on the air on Monster Castle Paranormal with Seika and the Wolfman, Jeff the Grey, and Darren of the Inquisitor.
Hi, I have a person.
Hello.
A person called from Mr. Midnight Movie. Will you pay for the charges?
Yes.
Go ahead, caller.
Hello. This is the Wolfman Mike from Monster Castle Paranormal.
Buenos nachos.
You are live on the air, sir.
Thank you.
Have you got a question for the guest, Seika? She's a psychic.
Well, technically, I'm a medium.
A medium, yeah. Well, anyways, a psychic medium, an intuitive.
Please hold while I consult with my client. This could be good, Mr. Midnight Movie. She's a medium. Why don't you talk to her about one? You know who?
I like my steak medium, not medium
No,
rare,
sorry.
but medium. Okay.
I believe
I like mine. I like mine rare.
I know what's going on here. We've just connected with another paranormal show, and how you doing, Debbie?
This isn't Debbie. This is... No, I was going to ask you, if you're really a medium, is there any way that you could try to tap into somebody through the phone of one of their people that's on the other side in another dimension?
I'm not really hearing you clearly, so I'm not really sure what you're asking. It's really garbled. So maybe if
Yeah, it's a
somebody else
little
is
bit.
hearing for better,
Sounds
they
like
can
a bad
let me
connection.
Could you repeat
is she
that?
speaking English?
Caller, could you try to clear up your end and repeat that?
Can you tap into somebody from the other side that's with us?
Can you tap into somebody from the other side that's with us through the phone? That's what she's asking.
Okay, no. And the reason I say no is because I don't tap into people. They have to tap into me. So if they want me to put a message out, then they will send it to me. I do not contact people. They have to come to me. And that's my thing. There might be people that can contact people by, putting it out in the ether, but that would be a very vague reference because first of all, I don't have any energy line to work from because I'm not sitting in front of somebody. And second of all, like I say, people will come to me, but there has to be a connection. So at this point, I don't go, woohoo, hey, out there in the ether, come to visit me. It doesn't happen that way for me.
Can you give a reading to my friend on the line with me? His name is Brian.
All right. What does he want to? What does he want to know? Like in truth, as I was saying to Wolfman, I'm not really a reader over the phone. I'm an energy reader, so for me, doing readings over the phone is not my best medium.
Maybe if he talks to us, tells us a
Yeah,
little bit about himself.
like that's got nothing to go on
maybe
here.
You'll get something. Just try.
Well,
We got
I'm going
another
to be
caller.
honest. I am a stone cold atheist. I don't necessarily. I'm not putting you guys down, but I'm not someone who believes in any form of afterlife, let alone like any form of. And look, and I certainly could be wrong. I'm open to the fact of paranormal,
I'm glad you said that, sir. Because yeah, you got to be open to the. I don't know what's going. I don't know. All I can do is say what I've seen. And,
Yeah, exactly. Me
and
too.
I don't really know either. I don't.
And it doesn't have anything to do with religion because I'm not religious. I don't follow any religion.
neither
I'm
am
pretty
I.
much like yourself. I'm a person of science. I consider myself to be, I don't believe in any god or any of that kind of stuff myself.
I'm just an
so
experiencer.
how you explain this?
Yeah, me.
Like-
I'm just
like
an
Wolfman said.
experiencer. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I've experienced things, and I don't know what to make of it. And I'm just trying to find out if other people have had these same kind of things happen to them.
Now, what do you,
You
think
know-
of people who are really skeptical? Like, I mean, have you guys heard of like James Randi and those types of people, like who are skeptical?
Hey, what's your name, sir?
Of course.
Hey,
Of
can
course.
we have your name, caller, please?
It's Brian.
Okay, Brian. Cool.
Brian. Yeah, he did say it was Brian.
Right on. Thanks.
Yeah. Oh no, and you know what? Here's the thing. I mean, I'm skeptical sometimes. So, this is not something that you can nail down. It's not something that you can be 100% for sure about. And that's like we were talking about tonight, like even between Wolfman and I, we were saying, oh my God, does that happen to you? Does that happen to you? Because these are things that sometimes you have a hard time as the person experiencing it, wrapping your head around it. And you think, am I crazy? Like, how could I, but there's certain things you just can't make up, certain things that you can't know and you can't, but if they can be validated, there has to be something to it. But again, what is it? I don't know. And that's, I think, as people in the paranormal that we're constantly trying to research and find these answers. Are they out there? Maybe. But it's like anything. You kind of have to be open-minded about it. So if you're a skeptic, that's great. But also, if you don't believe at all, then of course, like even myself, like giving a reading to somebody who doesn't give off any energy or who's already putting up a wall or building up some kind of negative, sort of idea that they don't believe it. In truth, it's an exchange of energy. So if you're not giving anything to me, I'm clearly not going to receive anything, and I'm not going to be able to give anything back. And that's the best way I can explain it. To me, it's not something magical or mystical or like, woohoo or airy-fairy. It's a transference of energy, and that's how I see it. So, as a skeptic, I hope you can appreciate that. I'm not about to tell you about angels and demons or any of that because I don't go for that stuff myself.
I'll tell you something.
I don't know, Wolfman. What do you have
That was
to
a great
say?
answer.
I have certainly, as I've grown older, I know somebody is out, like, who has nefarious, who's underhanded. As I've grown older, I know when someone is a BSer, like, or someone is cruel or someone is mean. You get a sense about somebody.
Well, that's your intuition.
Yeah, you got
That
to
kind of
keep up with that. Keep on that intuition.
That's it.
You got to listen to that little voice. Use that. That's
right.
That
And
will
that's
turn
what
into.
we're using.
That will turn into psychic powers, and you'll be able to control your own little universe, basically.
It's as we were saying earlier, if you were listening, this is not something that I believe is a particular gift to any one person. I think we all have intuitive abilities. Obviously we do, or we wouldn't have survived for the 1,000,000+ years that we've been on this planet. We have an intuition just like animals have an instinct. We are an animal, so we have that too. But it's how we use it and how we understand it. It's all energy at the end of the day. So it's how you're able to read energy, how you pick up on energy. And like you said, if you're able to pick up on people who are like that, who, are BSing or whatever, then you're already in the same vein. Maybe you're just not quite as open to it as maybe Wolfman and I are or other people. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, right? But it's not tangible at this point. Like, we're still investigating this. I'm still investigating this. I'm still trying to figure myself out half the time. But I can tell you now, I don't really do readings for money. I'm not in this business, in this, what I do for a business. I do it because I am curious about myself and what I can learn. And that's really the bottom line for me. It's like, why am I able to do this? And I'm so happy when I meet other people that have similar or, different abilities. It's great to be able to talk to them about it and be like-minded and see where it goes or what it is for that matter. I don't know if that makes any sense to you.
I've never done it for money either myself, ever. I've never wanted to try to pass myself. I do tarot readings for people on an after show. We call it Dirty Rotten Tarot. And we get pretty rowdy and silly, and I make jokes and a sarcastic tarot reading, but there is still a truth behind it, I find, every time. And it
for sure.
It blows
there is.
people's socks off when I do it, because they're like, well, it was funny and everything, but you were right.
That's it. But let me ask you, Brian, like, I'm curious, like, are you listening to this show just with your friend, or are you really curious about this, but because you feel that you're, a non-believer in a sense? Like, when you think of yourself as an atheist, what does that mean? Does that mean that you believe nothing? I don't understand. Or do you believe in science, or what is your form of being an atheist?
My form of being an atheist is I believe that the Bible is something that sounds made up. I mean, particularly if we're going to biblical standards, that the Bible is something that is made up. And I basically am a non-believer on that sense. I mean, as far as God is concerned, there was he's a black atheist of Atlanta. And he said, the Bible is man-made, and God is the star of the show, so he must be made up too. So it's like, it's like, it's so God, the Bible
sure.
is.
I understand what you're saying with that, and again, the Bible is a book written by people. So, and it's stories, and it's morals, and it's, it's there for a reason. It doesn't mean you have to believe in God, but at the end of the day, what I am asking, though, is as an atheist, do you believe in science? Like, do you believe in science, in the theory of science?
Yes, I do, and I also believe in it. You know what? Had I trusted my intuition and given my intuition some thought, I loaned a friend money, and had I listened to my intuition,
you wouldn't have done it.
I certainly would not have done it. On two, I loaned friends money, and it's, well, you know what? They were, in my opinion, the way they behave while owing me money has shown me that they're not good friends to begin with. So I got that form of clarity. But and
again, and I understand that. And as like Wolfman said, that's your gut instinct, right? That's built into us for a reason. That is our safety guard. That is what keeps us alive. So if you put yourself back, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 years ago, that instinct kept you alive.
Yeah, and
so
some people call it your
there for a reason,
angel,
right? And
your guardian angel, some people call it. It's
that's
just that
right,
little voice.
Or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I mean, it's, I'm not religious, so I think of it as a gut instinct, as a natural, it's there to protect us, to save our lives.
Damn, we got 5 minutes left. 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. Wow.
There you go.
Okay, we got to thank you for coming
on. Do you
on.
have any other questions, Brian, while we're
you got 1 minute, and then I have to thank the guest and then close her down. Mm-hmm. You got 1 minute.
Then we're getting kicked off.
Oh, I don't have any more, but I'll say on this.
Thank you for calling.
Kind of interesting because I can get, I guess how to read people and stuff is something that, and it's true. I didn't go on my gut instinct, and this, well, anyway, I'll kind of end on that because I'd have more to say.
Trust your gut from now on, right? Because that's, like Wolfman and I have been saying tonight, it's like we're kind of trusting our gut when it tells us things. So be open to that at least, right? You don't have to believe in God or any kind of religious stuff. It's got nothing to do with religion as far as I'm concerned, because I'm not religious. So, just go with it and see what happens. You'd be surprised. You know?
Oh, and thank you so
Trust
much for
your
your
gut.
call, sir. That was
Yeah, thank you,
awesome.
Brian.
Thank you so much for calling in, and
think it
thank
was
you,
Howard.
Seika, so much for being a guest. I hope to have you back. And
Thank you,
I
Wolfman,
gotta
for
say
having me
that,
on the show and putting up with me for 3 hours.
I think it was
Great.
actually probably one of our best shows ever. You're amazing.
Aw, thanks.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, I
Can I
really
ask one
appreciate
last
the
question,
time, and I had a
Wolfman?
lot of fun with you guys.
What's that, Darren?
I wanted to get back just real quick.
Okay,
When
go
you
ahead.
dug up the bones in the battlefield, did you ever have an spiritual experience with the person that passed away?
Okay, wait, what did you say? Because I just got ding-ling-ling in my ear, so sorry.
Thanks, Wolfman.
Oops.
So when you dug up the bones in the field, did you ever have a spiritual experience connecting with that person?
I guess it depends on what you call by spiritual. I suppose I don't really look at things in that respect. I do definitely have energy connections, though, yes. So, like I say, I tend to separate myself out from sort of the religious aspect of things. And I definitely do have connections with them. I feel sometimes that I know them. And, like, when I touch them, sometimes I've learned a great deal about that person. Like, I can tell more about that person right there before they're even out of the ground. And then when they come, you know, when we dig them out and we look at them and we process the bones and we understand, I already know that story. I already know what happened to them. So
That's really,
yes,
no wonder
definitely
why you love
I
it so
connect
much.
in that respect.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It is a pretty amazing experience, I have to say. It's a really amazing experience. It's something I wouldn't trade.
Okay, we are coming back on in a half an hour
All
at
right.
3:30 a.m. Eastern
But I won't
Standard
be
Time,
here.
half an hour time. If you want to be, you can.
I'll be sleeping.
We're doing Dirty Rotten Tarot, and if you want to call in
Nice.
for a reading, I'll do a reading for you.
Oh, hey.
And here we go with the monster song. This is a lot of this is all original stuff. I do a bit of music. That's me.
Good for you.
This is our closer song. I haven't quite finished it, but this is the monster song from Monster Rock Paranormal. But I don't know. I just want to say thanks to everyone for coming out, and we are coming back with Dirty Rotten Tarot. I believe Kurt Green will be joining us. I don't know about you guys. Jeff, Darren, you got anything to say before the end of the show?
I just want to say thank you for coming on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you guys. I had a good time. Great questions. Lots of fun.
Oh, thank you.
And it was really cool meeting you, even though we were meeting through the ether.
Absolutely. It's nice meeting you.
I can't believe you're close by me. I can feel more
I am.
power already. I
There
feel
you
more
go.
white energy and healing energy and definitely more energy.
More energy. It's all about the energy.
Oh yeah. All right. Good
All
night.
right, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Have a good night.
This is the Monster Castle Paranormal Radio Show. We explore the paranormal phenomenon with researchers and skeptics from all walks of life and beyond. Fridays and Saturdays, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, on KTLK, Digital Broadcasting Network, thefringe.fm. Visit our website.